Magic the Gathering. There is absolute chaos right now in the Magic financial markets based on fear and speculation over the ban announcement we're going to be getting later this month. On top of that, there are some significant problems with Wizards of the Coast's newest secret lair. And that's not all the news we're going to cover today.
Magic.
I am a wizard!
History.
I'm an old wizard!
The Magic Historian.
My bones hurt. Greetings! Owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles, my friends. I hope the day finds you well because we have gathered for another wonderful installment of Mega Magic News. We've got market chaos. We've got secret layer screw-ups. We're going to talk about Aether Drift. We're going to have a good time. And speaking of good times, check this out. This is the Nerf secret layer. If you've never heard of this, this is the most bizarre secret layer Wizards of the Coast has ever made. Yes, it does include Magic cards, but it also comes with Nerf action and it has special crazy lightning. That was on purpose, guys. I totally meant to do that. Those limited edition darts that are in here mean nothing to me. That absolutely was not an accident. That was intentional. Well, anyways, you know what? Now I'm getting sidetracked. So I opened this up last night on a live stream, and that is available over on my live stream archive. So if you want to see the cards that come in it, everything in glorious detail, the little darts that I fired off up close, you can check that out. There's also additional fun over there in the form of me trying some new Christmas treats like peppermint eggnog, which was abysmal. But either way, I will leave a link pinned in the top of the comment section for you to go and check that out if you specifically want to see the Nerf secret lair and that goodness and some rare Magic comics and stuff. That happens about midway through the live stream. All right, so now that that has been discussed and I have some extra work cleaning up afterwards, I really hope one of those darts didn't fly somewhere where I won't be able to find it. But anyways, let's not get distracted. Let's dive in talking about the financial chaos in the Magic markets because this is a big news item. It specifically revolves around the One Ring. It's a will they, won't they scenario, right? Looking at it from the historical perspective, the One Ring has been dancing away from the ban hammer left and right, leading to some genuinely hilarious scenarios. Like, I would say it was roughly a year, maybe a year and a half ago, where Wizards put out the one ban announcement with the most insane statement I've ever seen in regards to not banning a card. So the One Ring obviously is a very powerful colorless card that can go into many decks, right? So it's been dominating in Modern. And we knew like over a year ago, guys, this card is really powerful. You need to do something about it. And Wizards of the Coast came out and said the opposite of what they normally say. Normally what happens is they'll say, hey, so these colorless cards can go into any deck, right? Oh, we've got Smuggler's Copter. Look how many people are playing this card. It's going into too many decks and it's warping the meta. But when it came to the One Ring, Wizards of the Coast said, look, we know that this card's being used in a lot of decks, but it can be used in even more decks. So we're not banning it. And it's like, this is the complete opposite of what you normally say. So the One Ring has been living a protected life. And that is mostly on the back of the fact that Wizards of the Coast doesn't want to ban cards that they're currently selling. And when it came specifically to Lord of the Rings, not only did we have the original Lord of the Rings release, but we also had the Ultra Special Edition, ooh, look at the posters and all that kind, right? So you have an extra product offering, which means the One Ring is still basically a new product to them in their new packages, and it needs to keep selling. So there will be no bans. But now we've reached the point where the Lord of the Rings stuff has worked its way through the system. Wizards of the Coast presumably has sold it all out. We would have heard if they were going to be doing some more re-releases, reissues. It's unclear with their license agreement whether they actually have the ability to print more Lord of the Rings stuff, but when it comes to cards called the One Ring, they could literally. I don't think that Lord of the Rings owns the term the One Ring, but if they do, Wizards of the Coast can just re-release the One Ring as a different ring. Check it out, it's Sally McKissy-Face's ring, or whatever else they want to call it, and then just put the One Ring in that little box underneath like they do with reskins, right? So they can reprint the One Ring in other ways, but it seems like right now we've reached that sweet spot in terms of the amount of time since the product's been out and nothing new being announced with it, that Wizards of the Coast might actually be angling to ban the One Ring. So this has been shown basically in Magic markets, where the price of the One Ring has been going right down. At one point, it was essentially $100 card, right? And now it's about a $40 to $45 card. So it's cratered by 60% roughly, right? And that is a very big deal, but it's causing different levels of reaction. Some people are stampeding to get rid of their One Rings before they get banned and tank downwards. And other people are saying, okay, look, a couple of things could happen here. They ban the One Ring and it tanks, or they don't ban the One Ring and it rebounds from this price cratering. So there are people who are snagging up copies of the One Ring thinking, hey, you know what? Ultimately, if they don't ban it, I'm going to be making out like a bandit. And it is still usable in the oldest formats like Legacy, and you can use it in Commander too. So it's not like when they banned, for example, Jeweled Lotus, and all of a sudden you just have a dead duck that you can't do nothing with, may as well be a blank card. But either way, it's causing massive waves in the financial community, and it is interesting to see. Also, thinking about them banning the One Ring is interesting because the most expensive Magic card that exists is the One Ring, right? And turning around and going, oh, look at that card Post Malone bought. We're banning it. You can't use it. Get it out of here. But again, that isn't in every format. So we don't know 100% whether this is going to happen. Wizards of the Coast seems to have changed their perspective on just dumping crazy power straight into Modern. It remains to be seen whether they intend to continue doing Modern Horizons sets, because obviously the most recent Modern Horizons has completely changed the nature of things. So it might turn out that what happens is Wizards of the Coast cares very much about the secondary market of cards, and obviously you buying new packs. But if them making new direct-to-modern products is essentially bottlenecking it to the point where you have to buy the new stuff, but it obliterates a ton of secondary market value on all these extra cards. Well, now Wizards can't reprint the earlier stuff for Modern as this, let's use this to juice a secret layer. Let's put these as bonus cards into whatever different products, right? Because when you put bonus cards in from different sets, that like the reprints, it has a genuine effect on the product. For example, Unfinity is the most well-selling unset ever made. But that's not because of the space-style set that they gave it, and it's not because it's an unset. It's because they made special edition Shocklands and put them in the product. That is ultimately the main reason that the product succeeded at all. So they have to play this game of, yo, we want to keep influencing Modern? Because they've changed what they're doing. All the Universe Beyond sets going forwards are all going to be entering Standard, where the One Ring came from the Universe Beyond Lord of the Rings set, which went directly to Modern. So have we actually reached the point where Wizards of the Coast is stopping with the direct-to-modern stuff altogether, or is it just going to be one Modern Horizon set a year? It's a very interesting question. It also raises the other aspect of, hey, what's going to go on with Standard? The fact that they're making Universe Beyond stuff and putting it straight into Standard, but they're still going to want it to affect Modern and other formats, because that is one of the underpinnings of the Fire design concept that they use. So you end up looking at it and going, okay, they want these cards to reach into multiple formats. Are they going to say, we're not making these sets direct to Modern at all anymore, but we are amping up the power level of Standard? But either way, this is a situation where there is a ton of activity around the One Ring. There's a lot of financial stuff that I don't really touch on because there's little spikes here or there. Like, for example, if you wanted to talk about finance, Patchwork Banner was a pretty expensive uncommon from Bloomborough. It was getting up to being like a $5 or $6 uncommon, maybe even more. But because they put it in those tins that I mentioned in the last video, now all of a sudden it's coming back down to earth as a $2 kind of uncommon. But ultimately, talking about the finance aspect of an uncommon that shifted up and down a couple of dollars is nothing. But talking about the One Ring in terms of big, massive like market movement, on top of also what it means for set design going forwards and how people are reacting to it. And it's interesting to note that this is a very divided situation where some people are certain the One Ring's going to get banned and other people think that it's going to keep going. And for me, it really could go either way. I could see either one happening. I could say Wizards of the Coast is going, we're not worried about it too much. It's a defensive style card that everybody can get access to. Will they maybe start to consider the One Ring to be the same thing as they consider Force of Will in the older formats, where it's like, okay, Force of Will, for Legacy, for example, it's an extremely powerful counterspell, but it serves as a counterbalance to a bunch of different strategies. So will the One Ring enter into counterbalance territory, not the card, just as a concept, right? So is it going to become a counterbalance to all the problems in Modern where they just go, let's leave it in because then we can make even more bonkers stuff and the One Ring will be there to stop it? It is a very bonkers card. Obviously, they pushed it very hard for the One Ring release, and it does make me wonder what that means for things like the Spider-Man set, where is there going to be some ultra-powered web slinger? I'm gonna goo your face, big boy! Like, what sort of craziness? We're going into the craziest year of Magic ever. 2025 is gonna be absolutely wild, right? So, ultimately, that wraps up what we have to talk about with the One Ring. I can't say for sure whether it's going to go up or going to go down. Both feel like reasonable perspectives. I think that Wizards might want to make some more space in Modern for other things, though. Who knows? We'll have to see. So ultimately, I would say that I'm like 55% that they'll ban it, 45% that they won't. All right? Now, let's move on to talking about 20 ways to win the secret lair. We actually have multiple items to talk about here. So let's start out with the positive side of things before we talk about the problems. We have the bonus card. Someone has graciously taken a photo of the extra contents of the 20 ways to win. And man, this deck has come out quite quickly, right? Taking a look at the image, you can see they have that special little raccoon life spinner, which is a nice touch. Personally, I like the spin downs. I find these cardboard ones, I'm just afraid of spilling a little bit of water or something on them. So I like them as a bonus inclusion when they toss them in with decks, but a solid plastic die. If you've been playing Magic long enough, you know what it's like to hear that oops moment, and it's like, oh bro, did you just spill Coke all over my stuff, right? Actually, that happened when I was hanging out with Moxman. We were playing a game of My Cube, and boom, a drink got knocked over and fired up into the sleeves, but thankfully, we live in the era of double sleeving, so my stuff didn't actually get ruined. Anyways, you've got the life spinner there, which is pretty cool. You've also got Enduring Ideal, which is the most epic bonus card we've seen. And yes, that was a dumb joke based on the fact that this spell has epic. So this lets you search your library for an enchantment card and put it directly onto the battlefield, right? And this has epic. So how the spell works is once you cast it, you can't cast any more spells for the rest of the game, but you do get to recast this spell every single turn. So this is from the Kamigawa block originally. And you can just go ahead and keep grabbing different enchantments with this. Ultimately, as a bonus card, it feels kind of wonky because this deck, I should say, has all these different concepts to win, and they're not all based around enchantments. So going and getting an enchantment every turn, if you don't have the right setup, is just going to lead to you losing. Now, one of the things I really liked about this is they included the 20 ways to win master insert. So it says 20 ways to win, master them all. And we get to see the different names of them. So the 20 ways to win with this deck are Forgot Your Sunscreen, win using Approach of the Second Sun. Barbershop Quartet, win using Biovisionary. That one's actually going to be funny for the next news we talk about. Here Kitty Kitty is win using Felidar Sovereign. Splish Splash is win using Halo Fountain. Storybook Ending is win using Happily Ever After. Tower of Power is win using Helix Pinnacle. Bull in a China Shop, Win using Hellkite Tyrant. Well, that doesn't make sense. Bull in a china shop is going to destroy things. The Hellkite Tyrant is just going to hoard them up. A dragon doesn't destroy his treasure. Oh well. Anyways, next name, Notarized. Win using Liliana's contract. Liliana made a contract with 4 demons to get her powers back. And Nicol Bolas underwrote that contract, essentially. I guess you could consider him the notary, really. Then we've got Face the Music. Win using Miles Aria. Gatecrasher. Win using Maze's End. Eighth Wonder. Win using Mechanized Production. That one's a little easier to win with this deck, it seems like. A Penny Saved. Win using Revel in Riches. Counterpunch. Win using Simic Ascendancy. Go the Distance. Win using Test of Endurance. Baker's Dozen. Win using Triskaidekaphile. Ribbit. Win using the 20-toed Toad by having 20 cards in your hand. Ribbit 2, the Ribbiting. Win using 20-toed Toad, having 20 counters on him. That's because that guy counts as 2 different win cons. If you want a job done right, win by dealing 21 commander damage to your last opponent. Old Reliable. Win by reducing last opponent's life total to 0, and the library is closed. Win when last opponent attempts to draw from an empty library. So, this is one of those little bonuses that I really enjoy. It adds flavor, it explains to you the concept of the deck. These are all the different ways to win. Go ahead and do them all. It's a fun little mini game to include with the actual game of Magic. So this is what I like to see. What I don't like to see is this. Take a look at this picture. Some poor sap got hosed so hard. This is the 20 ways to win deck that you're looking at, friends. Now ask yourself a question. What's one of the biggest things about Commander? If you looked at this as a Commander deck, would you go, well, this is definitely a legal deck? One of the key defining aspects of a Commander deck is you can only play one of any given card. And lo and behold, there are duplicates here. A whole bunch of duplicates. Actually, if you look over on the far right, you can see Biovisionaries. So when I laughed about the you need 4 Biovisionaries out, when we first talked about this deck, I said there was no chance they put Biovisionary in the deck because you need 4 copies of Biovisionary. But it turns out they put in Right of Replication so you can copy them with just that one card. And so now, with this version of the deck, it's illegal, but you have 2 copies of Biovisionary. So, guess how many duplicates were in this deck, right? And remember, a bunch of cards are just like your lands and whatever. But anyhow, guess, out of 100 cards, how many cards do you think were doubled in this deck? If you answered 40, you are correct. 40 doubles, bro. 40 doubles out of 100 cards. Oh wait, no, sorry, scratch that, because the situation actually gets worse. Not only did this Commander deck have 40 doubles, it was only 90 cards. So instead of getting the full 100 card Commander deck, this guy got 90 cards, with 40 of them being doubles. This was $150 US. Wizards of the Coast has kept up their tradition of screwing up every single Secret Lair Commander deck release. This is genuinely hilarious to me. It's like, hey, you know the 20-toed Toad? What if instead we went 40 doubles, yo? Like, it's so bad. Okay, all right, so there are also some reports of some damaged card quality, as usual with Secret Lairs. But this one, this is right up there with them making the flip coin for the heads I win, tails you lose deck, and it breaking after 2 flips. Like, this is not good customer service, bro. You're literally selling a 100 card deck for $150. You're charging $150 a card, and it's like, yeah, here's a bunch of doubles. Enjoy that. You can't even play the deck. Also, by the way, it's not even 100 cards. Like, how do you screw up like on both of those levels, bro? Does that mean it's missing all the cool raccoon cards? Because they have that little theme running through it. This is a really weird pile of cards. Now, let's turn to talking about Amonkhet. Amonkhet's a part of what we're going to talk about, but Aether Drift. My brain just wanted to go to Amonkhet because it's like, vroom, vroom, beep, beep, we're in for a treat. So it turns out we're going to be getting a fat batch of spoiler action for Aether Drift in about 3 days. So we don't know that much about the set. It's a crazy race car set where we're going to be driving through 3 different planes. Can you guess? Obviously, Amonkhet's one of them because I mentioned it. So you got Kaladesh, Amonkhet, and Muruganda, which is a plane of basically just like vanilla creatures with no abilities and gigantic beasties and stuff. So that was a world they didn't feel like they had enough to actually develop into something. It's just kind of, hey, these guys are from this world, but we'll never go there. So the race that we're going to have, where Chandra's trying to win a spark to give to Nissa, is basically going to tear through these different worlds. And I'm most interested in Amonkhet because all the events that happened on Amonkhet really did change that world. And ultimately, Amonkhet is one of the most flavorful worlds that Wizards of the Coast has built in the last 10 years or so. What has been done with like the Nicol Bolas villainous nature in that set specifically was absolutely incredible. If you weren't here for the Amonkhet days, it basically went like this. Nicol Bolas shows up to this plane. These guys have their whole religious ceremony that happens like once a year. And it's almost like their Olympic Games, right? So Nicol Bolas takes the actual gods of that world, grabs their brain, shakes them like an Etch-a-Sketch, and it's like, okay, I'm going to turn you guys into my own servants. So he turns the whole world into essentially worshiping Nicol Bolas. There's all kinds of different signs of him around, but the denizens of the world, they only know that if they complete this amazing Olympics, that they get to go to this vaunted afterlife, right? And so Nicol Bolas completely changed up the way the world functioned so that their solar cycle, basically they would only do one of these Olympic-style festivals when the 2 suns of their worlds aligned, right? So Nicol Bolas messed with the suns as well, so it would happen once a month. So every month they would have these Olympic Games, and they were turned into the Death Olympics, where nobody survived except the Grand Victor. And the Grand Victor was also executed, but in a special ritual by Hazoret. But underneath it all, what was actually going on is Nicol Bolas had taken some of the gods and had them out with the regular people in the world going, yeah, let's do this, we're having our awesome ritual. And he had other gods secretly toiling away, creating this magical Lazotep stuff. And they used that to take all the winners of those Death Olympics and basically turn them into fully sentient undead, where they have beefy Lazotep plating, they retain all of their memories, all of their magical powers, and Nicol Bolas used this to secretly make a huge army of the Eternals. And then at a certain point, and I'm not 100% sure why he did this, at a certain point, he basically took those hidden gods and had them show up and start slaughtering the other gods that he was using as part of this, and they just started decimating the population and tearing apart the only safe city on Amonkhet. So, I mean, maybe I'm being a little too hopeful here in terms of getting to see some more of the world building and flavor from Amonkhet, but that setup was so incredible that they literally could have taken a brand new Magic villain that we had never heard of. Hey, I'm Tony the Dog Kicker. And you'd be like, he doesn't sound that rough. He just kicks dogs. And then you tell him how he took over this entire world, subverted their religion, and built a huge conquering army out of the best of the best. Well, all of a sudden, Dog Kicker would be one of the beloved enemies of Magic the Gathering. That was one of the last times where we really got some epic world building. Now, if I'm being real, we're probably just going to go, vroom, vroom, beep, beep, look, there's a pyramid over there. Hold on, I'm out of gasoline. I got to stop by the local gas pump and pump my vehicle back full of gas. It's just, 2025 is going to be such a weird world. So in 3 days, they are going to, they're going to hook us up with the first real batch. We've been showing a few teaser cards, right? We've seen Duretti looking like he's from Greased Lightning, and he's just sitting there like, my kids don't call me anymore. I don't even know why I work this job. He just feels like an everyday dude. This is going to be one of the strangest sets. So just so you know, this is going to be akin to Thunder Junction in terms of we're going to see 1 million people that we know there, and they're not going to care about giving us good reasons as to why they're there. They're just going to be like, everybody's there. At least, you know what? I'll be real, 100%. To be fair, at least with the race that's going on with Aether Drift, it's an attraction. It makes sense why they would go there. With Thunder Junction, it was just like, everybody just showed up and built wooden buildings and put on their caps and, ooh, look at my duster, right? So there is that. Somehow, Aether Drift will be a little more coherent than than Thunder Junction was. But either way, come back. If I haven't come back before with new news before then, come back in 3 days so that we can talk about the Aether Drift. Boom, boom, beep, beep, get in my Jeep. I'm R. Kelly who wants to go for a ride in my Hummer. It's so goofy. All right. Anyhow, I'll be doing a live stream tonight over on my live stream channel, which, as a reminder, if you've already forgotten about me shooting off my Nerf blaster, I got the Nerf secret lair, and that you can go and check out that live stream in the meantime until you wait till tonight's fun live stream. All right? So, big shout out to my patrons. Thank you for supporting my channel, and I will see you all, my friends, in the next video.
Check out these must-have stocking stuffers.
Deep in the heart, welcome to Planet Stupidity, deep in the heart of the dumb dimension, where in the heart of the most powerful nation on Earth.
Yeah, dumbass, you're even smarter than President Camacho. That's how come he's making you Secretary of Interior.
Where a TV doctor with the qualifications of selling miracle diet pills is now in charge of Medicare and Medicaid.
The Secretary of Defense.
Huh?
Who is now a Fox News host.
He tried taking water from toilets.
Okay, so who are you?
I'm the Secretary of Energy.
That's Christy Nome, the woman who took her 14-month-old dog to a gravel pit and shot it because it wasn't learning fast enough.
And, Funbags over there is the Attorney General.
Department of Energy goes to Big Oil in the form of Chris Wright. And I decided, well, whatever, let's take a look at this guy. And it's crazy, you know, I thought the great expansion of human life expectancy in the 20th century was due to medical advances, you know, things like antibiotics and vaccines wiping out diseases like smallpox that if you got it, you had about a 1 in 3 chance of being dead in the next 4 weeks. It killed millions per year. And even if you survived, you would be horrifically scarred for life. But on Clown World, an anti-vaxxer gets put in charge of the Center for Disease Control.
In an interview, you said, quote, "There's no vaccine that is, safe and effective." Do you still believe that?
I never said that.
So stop me. We have the clip. Please play the clip.
There's no vaccine that is, safe and effective.
So you did say it. Do you still believe it?
Well, here's what I would say. First of all, I'm not anti-vaccine.
How is that statement not anti-vaccine?
But no, according to the new oil magnate Department of Energy, the increase in life expectancy was actually due to burning more fossil fuel.
Global life expectancy started to grow. Then you see next up is oil. Oil kicks in, you see an inflection, and life expectancy rises more steeply. This is simply the impact of energy.
No, it's not.
And that's Secretary of Education.
Get her!
Yes, 100% serious. That's the new nomination for the head of the Department of Education. Well, if only we could get some words of wisdom from Marco Rubio, who has just been nominated for Secretary of State. Yeah, let's see what he thought back in 2016.
There is no way we are going to allow a con artist to take over the conservative movement, and Donald Trump is a con artist.
So what do you think a Trump government would look like, Senator?
It would be chaos. No one knows, but it would look probably like the positions he's held for all these years.
Welcome to the dumb dimension.
We have, I think approximately 70% of Republicans still say that Donald Trump won the 2020 election. It's like, are we going to abandon truth to that degree?
Now, in the dumb dimension, they eat that level of stupidity for breakfast.
And promote it. It's like, how does a party survive?
The dumb dimension doesn't care about your logical arguments. Because in the dumb dimension, the angry orange grandpa is just getting warmed up to appoint his most trusted advisor to head the Department of Government Efficiency, the doggy department. He's appointed the same guy who took 1,000 deposits of $250,000 apiece to deliver a sports car, which was being produced now in 2017.
It was the foundation of the whole company. It was the Tesla Roadster. People have asked us for a long time, when are you going to make a new Roadster? We are making it now.
And about half a decade later, in 2022, it's coming next year.
Next year, we'll be in production with the Roadster and with Semi. So that's all coming.
And you'll be stunned to find out that that wasn't true either. And in 2024, Mr. Efficiency promised delivery again for the 8th year in a row and delivered nothing. And surprise, surprise, promised that again it would be ready next year. But in the dumb dimension, he's in charge of efficiency. He's the man dedicated to making the future look like the future.
And that's Secretary of Education.
Hey, sorry for interrupting. Isn't that annoying? What if I told you there was a way to get rid of ads like this forever?
It's called Pi, and if that sounds familiar to you, it's probably because you've seen their ads everywhere. It's an ad blocker that works on Twitch, YouTube, Amazon, and everywhere else you go on Chrome. And if that seems too good to be true, it's not. Over 500,000 people have downloaded it in just the past few months. It's available for free on the Chrome store right now, yet you're still watching this ad like an absolute doofus? Incredible. Plus, if you opt in, Pi will actually pay you money to see ads. Crazy, right? Good luck finding another ad blocker out there that does that. But don't take my word for it. Trust the hundreds and hundreds of 5-star reviews. So what are you doing? Get Pi right now and say goodbye to ads forever.
He's the one who's going to cut 1/3 out of the federal budget.
Yes.
How much do you think we can rip out of this wasted $6.5 trillion Harris-Biden budget?
Well, I think we can do at least $2 trillion.
Yeah!
Yes.
$2 trillion.
But this is the dumb dimension. So believe me when I say this is more stupid on every conceivable level than you can possibly imagine. You know, if only there was some sort of track record like a first term that we could judge Trump's record on. After all, the brilliant idea of reducing government spending by making cuts is not exactly new. In fact, it's what he ran on in 2016. I wonder if Rubio had any prophetic words on this.
He refuses to answer questions on any specific public policy. He has no plan for health care, for example. They asked him about the debt. He claimed he's going to cut the debt by cutting fraud and abuse.
And instead of cutting the national debt, Trump added more to the national debt than anyone in history. And all right, 1 year of that was the pandemic. But the other 3 years weren't. And what was the other thing? Oh, that's right. Rubio said he had no plan for health care in 2016.
He has no plan for health care, for example.
I wonder how that played out.
We will be able to immediately repeal and replace Obamacare. Have to do it. Has to be replaced. And we will do it, and we will do it very, very quickly. It is a catastrophe.
Really terrific, I believe, healthcare plan coming out.
We're going to have a healthcare plan that's going to be second to none. It's going to be great. The plan is coming out over the next 4 weeks.
And I know what you're thinking. Holy crap, this is the Tesla Roadster of healthcare plans.
We're signing a healthcare plan within 2 weeks. A full and complete healthcare plan. We're going to be doing a very inclusive healthcare plan. I'll be signing it sometime very soon.
So just a yes or no, you still do not have a plan?
I have concepts of a plan.
Well, so 8 years on from Rubio saying he had no plan for healthcare, he had no plan for healthcare. Huh. I wonder what the plan of the guy who added the most to the national debt in history's plan is for decreasing the national debt this time. First of all, we're going to strip that budget down by building 10 cities.
Almost 1/3 of the land mass of the United States is owned by the federal government. We should hold a contest to charter up to 10 new cities. In other words, we'll actually build new cities in our country again. These freedom cities will reopen the frontier, reignite American imagination.
Honestly, I think the stupidity is just getting warmed up, and that Trump will make Dogecoin the official reserve currency of the United States, which will then follow the efficiency of the doggy department and go to zero, bankrupting the United States. And if you think that's stupid, it's a damn sight more plausible than this.
Another big opportunity is in transportation. Dozens of major companies in the United States and China are racing to develop vertical takeoff and landing vehicles for families and individuals.
If you want a flying car, just put some wheels on a helicopter.
Just as the United States led the automotive revolution in the last century, I want to ensure that America, not China, leads this revolution in air mobility. These breakthroughs can transform commerce, bring a giant infusion of wealth into rural America.
Well, let's just ignore the impossibility of flying cars for now. How those flying cars are going to make life better for people in rural America. Oh wait, hang on. When Musk promised his $250,000 sports car, that was going to fly as well. Flashback, 2017. That's what, 7 years ago now?
Not saying the next-gen Roadster's special upgrade package will definitely enable it to fly short hops, but maybe. Certainly possible. Just a question of safety. Rocket tech applied to a car opens up revolutionary possibility.
Clear that the rocket car finally flew.
Ow! I personally really think this is actually going to be happening, and he tends to not joke around with too much stuff like this. He really loves making the ludicrous happen.
And 7 years after when they were making this car, now Musk tweets out, "Tonight we radically increased the design goals of the new Tesla Roadster." Well, I'm sure that'll be a reassurance to those who gave him $250,000 half a decade or more ago. There will never be another car like this, if you could even call it a car. And Musk is kind of right here. There will never be another car that is composed 100% of vaporware promises. Production design complete and unveil by the end of the year, aiming at shipping next year. I think this is a shot at being the most mind-blowing product demo of all time. And you'll be shocked to find out that never happened. Although a few months later, Mr. I promised the car will be ready next year for getting on for a decade straight, did release this amazing declaration.
I think the Roadster demo will be mind-blowing. It might be the most mind-blowing demo of anything ever.
Wow. So, quick follow-up. When is that happening on that one?
I think next year sometime. It's kind of applying rocket engineering with Tesla EV engineering to make something really special.
I heard it can fly a little.
Yeah.
Yep, the exact same claims from 2017 as 2024. It'll be ready next year. Look, I made a busting video on why you can't use these cold gas thrusters to make a car fly or jump or accelerate or anything about 6 years ago. You know, 'cause science. And a few years ago, I did a video just debunking the stupid claims for the Tesla Roadster. Like, if Musk really did put the battery he claimed he was going to put in it, it would be bigger than the entire car. But let's see what the Mr. Doggy, Department of Government Efficiency, has to say about the progress of the Tesla Roadster in late 2024 to his shareholders.
Thank you, guys. Just a few more. What is going on with the Tesla Roadster?
Fun things. Well, I just like to thank our long-suffering deposit holders of the Tesla Roadster. The reason it hasn't come out yet is because the Roadster is not just the icing on the cake; it's the cherry on the icing on the cake.
Oh, I see. So it's the very last thing that they're going to make, which is why they took your money first. Yeah. Welcome to the logic of the Doki department.
Our larger mission is to accelerate the progress towards a sustainable energy future. Try to do things that maximize the probability that the future is good for humanity and for Earth.
Which is why Musk went all in on the party of drill, baby, drill.
It was the foundation of the whole company. It was the Tesla Roadster. People have asked us for a long time, when are you going to make a new Roadster? We are making it now.
And so that necessarily means that, like, the things like that are kind of like dessert. We'd all love to work on the Tesla, the next gen Tesla Roadsters.
Okay, so you took everyone's money up front because it was the last thing you were going to do. This sounds kind of like a scam.
A new Roadster. We are making it now.
Whether you use it as a reference guide, a tool for making a check or wish list to grow your dream collection, or a way to learn more about your stamps, you'll be glad to have Mystic's US stamp catalog. Best of all, it's free.
The Feywish sprites who reside deep within the forest collect people's wishes. They long to find the most special wish and offer it to their god.
But the god had already gone.
The wishing one has been gone too long. We lost our way.
What Musk actually meant to say there was that he wants you to give him $250,000 now for a deposit for a car that they're not going to build for at least 10 years. A cool $250 million scam. Huh. Just makes you wonder what he can do for government efficiency.
And we are working on it, but it has to come behind the more things that have a more serious impact on the good of the world.
We're going to drill, baby, drill right away. Drill, baby, drill.
So just thank you to all our long-suffering Tesla Roadster deposit holders. And we are actually finally making progress on that.
Uh-huh. So it's not a priority, but you're making lots of progress on it, which is why it's a decade late and you've still got nothing to show.
Peter, was lamenting how, the future doesn't have flying cars. Well, we'll see.
Flying cars, do you really think that's going to be real?
Too noisy, and there's too much airflow. If you get like one of those toy drones, think of how loud those are. Now imagine if that's 1,000 times heavier. This is not going to make your neighbors happy. Your neighbors are not going to be happy if you land a flying car in your backyard.
Anyway, let's do some back-of-the-envelope calculations of how much money we're going to save by spending lots more government money. Now, the cost of building a city, let's say 50,000 people, but it's a Trump freedom city, so let's say 100,000 people. 3 people at home, we're looking at 33,000 houses at, say, $500,000 a pop. That's a nice round $15 billion. And seeing as no one's going to stump up that sort of cash, let alone for 10 of them, cool, he's just added a cool $0.1 trillion to the federal budget. Now then, of course, you're going to have to build all that while throwing all the illegal immigrants out of the country.
They realized that we were illegal immigrants.
Well,
yes, we were.
I'd say it's a gray area.
Yeah, yes, we were. We were illegal immigrants.
At a cost of some $0.2 trillion per year. Then finding out that those illegals actually paid some $100-odd billion into the US tax coffers, meaning that you're now $100 billion poorer than you used to be. Meaning that we've effectively already added about $1/3 trillion to the budget. And then, of course, find out that 1/3 of all of those illegals were the backbone of your house-building economy. It's literally like shooting yourself in the foot on the day you're planning to go hiking. Oh, yes, sorry, I forgot. Planet stupidity in the dumb dimension. Yeah, wow. The budget cuts are going great already. Thankfully, Trump has appointed this guy who reduced the value of a company by 80% in just a few years in charge of government efficiency. And in 2016 announced that they were going to be landing 2 starships with humans in them on Mars by 2024.
So then in 2024, we want to try to fly 4 ships, 2 of which would be crewed, and 2 of which, two cargo and two crew.
And meanwhile, by 2024, they've been so efficient and made so much progress that they managed to take a banana to the Indian Ocean by not orbit and then land it in a burning piece of wreckage that then exploded. And how much did this stunt cost the US taxpayer? About $3 billion so far. Now, of course, Musk is a complete expert with decades of experience in detailed knowledge of government spending, and with those decades of experience has a carefully crafted, well thought out plan of exactly how it's going to work. Oh, hang on, sorry, wait, I'm just getting news that Musk has zero knowledge of government or government expenditure.
Secretary of Defense.
Other than the billions upon billions of dollars of government handouts that his companies get. That is, he has literally zero idea how to reduce government expenditure and zero plan. Believe me, the Roadster is just a tip of the iceberg of the screw-ups and vaporware promises from Tesla, with the full self-driving will be ready next year promise going for at least a decade straight now. And that's where Musk is supposedly the expert. Have you ever wondered how badly he could screw things up in a field where he's not an expert? Now, there are multiple ways you can read Trump's appointment of Musk as the head of the doggy department. Oh, sorry, joint head of the doggy department with Vivek Ramaswamy. Because nothing says government efficiency more than immediately doubling the number of people you need to head the department.
It doesn't make sense to reduce a foolish expenditure by 10% if it should be 0. And I bet there's, not a bet, I know there's a lot of things that are super wasteful.
And the very first act of the Department of Government Efficiency was to get 2 unelected bureaucrats to run it, rather than 1. It's literally the first line of Trump's appointment of Musk to the Department of Government Efficiency, which is going to be outside of government. That is, it's going to be an advisory role that basically man outside government has opinion. It's got no legally binding power, and it's basically given Musk the job of being the head of a pretend kitchen, making pretend tea for pretend government. But if that's the case, it couldn't be government funded. Basically, the doggy department would be Musk and a bunch of his friends complaining about the government on Twitter, which is basically what Musk does for his day job anyway. Another way of looking at it is Musk cannot have a job in government while being the recipient of billions of dollars from the government that he could influence with that job, because that would be old school corruption. You know, the doggy department has just done this detailed, complicated study of government expenditure, and it's decided that it would be more efficient if the government just gave all of its money to Elon Musk. Personally, I think the first thing that we need to know is how much of this extra hard-fought taxpayer money will be spent on the Department of Government Efficiency.
For any given expenditure, we have to say, well, what does this do for the citizens of America? Like, how is this good for the people of America? It's their money.
I mean, after all, the very first thing that it's doing is duplicating the Government Accountability Office, which oversees expenditure of the US government.
Like, for some weird reason, a lot of people in the sort of, state or whatever, the politicians, they seem to forget that the money being spent is your money. And if it's not being spent in a way that is beneficial to the American people, it's a misuse of the funds.
Cool, so the very first act of the Department of Government Efficiency is duplicating the work of another department. in the name of efficiency. I wonder how much duplicating this entire department will cost the US taxpayer. Let's see, the Government Accountability Office has some 3,000 employees, at $100,000 a person, which is going to cost some $300 million, a third of $1 billion. And the actual cost of the Government Accountability Office is about $1 billion per year. So this is minimalistically the size of the Department of Government Efficiency.
For any given expenditure, we have to say, well, what does this do for the citizens of America? Like, how is this good for the people of America? It's their money.
Only 3% of players can master in this game. Yay!
But if Musk wants to be serious, let's see, there's 3 million people working for the federal government. So you need at least, say, 1% of that to work out how you're going to make it efficient within a year. So that's 30,000 extra government employees at $100,000 a head is going to be some $3 billion. Boom! An extra $3 billion added to the federal budget. That's the Department of Government Efficiency. And I'm personally looking forward to years in the future, after Musk has blown billions of dollars of taxpayers' money on this, how he will explain to people why the Department of Government Efficiency hasn't actually done anything to prove anything yet. It'll be because, well, the Department of Government Efficiency isn't just the icing on the cake, it's not just the cherry on the cake, it's the glazing on the cherry on the icing on the cake. We'll get to it real soon, I promise. It'll be amazing. Just you wait and see.
What I can say is we're going to move to just truly massive scale. Scale that no company has ever achieved in the history of humanity.
And we can actually check what that growth like no one has ever achieved in the entire of humanity looks like by checking out when Musk said that, which was like May 2022, and seeing what that growth looks like over the next couple of years, which is somewhere between anemic growth and dieback. Let's just say I'm pushing extra doubt when Musk says he's going to do this for America.
America's just not just going to be great. America is going to reach heights that it has never seen before.
I think the Roadster demo will be mind-blowing. It might be the most mind-blowing demo of anything ever.
The future is going to be amazing!
Wow. So, quick follow-up. When is that happening on that one?
I think next year sometime.
Oh, but wait, what's this? Musk has just tweeted out how he wants people to work 80 hours a week. You know, the same number of hours that Musk spends tweeting conspiracy theories to make America great again somehow? I mean, just where he thinks there's this massive pool of really dedicated people with a detailed knowledge of the inner financial workings of the US government, I'm not entirely certain. And I can guarantee you, the ones of those who maybe exist, who are willing to work 80 hours a week pouring through tedious paperwork, is zero. But don't worry, Musk is going to look at the top 1% of applicants, and then the cherry on top, in a pure genius move that only Musk could have implemented, that if only Musk had thought about implementing from the very start, his brilliant move to ensure he has the most dedicated people for the job. He's going to pay them nothing. Oh, brilliant, Mr. Musk. Why don't we do that with all government employees? In fact, why not all employees everywhere? You know, have them do the exact same work, but for zero salary. In fact, why not implement that strategy, say, with the head of Tesla? Oh no, for some reason there it was super important that Musk thought he should get the largest pay bonus in history to ensure his interest at his job. So you have a man in charge of a department who knows nothing about the subject he's in charge of. I told you, this is the dumb dimension. And his plan is to get super experienced workers who, spoilers, don't exist. And he's going to get them to work super hard for, nothing. And because it's not an actual government department or anything, you know, how did Trump actually describe the Department of Government Efficiency as? Department of Government Efficiency will provide advice and guidance from outside of government. So naturally, seeing as it's outside of government, Musk set up a Twitter account for the Department of Government Efficiency and marked it as an official government account. And Musk has announced that he's going to have a leaderboard on Twitter where they're going to announce all the most stupid things they've found that government spends their money on. And they've already got the ball rolling, saying that they spent $30 million for licensing fees for green camouflage patterns for the Afghan National Army uniforms, $2.5 million on Super Bowl ads for the census, and $1.7 million on holograms of dead comedians. Yeah, totaling some $30 million or so. So sure, another 100,000 items like that, and you've got yourself your tax cuts. And Trump said it all has to be done in about 2 years, so give or take they need about 200 cuts like this per day. They would need to be posting something like this approximately 10 times per hour, 24 hours a day. Whereas their entire achievement thus far is that single tweet. And in an act of almost surreal stupidity. Remember what I was saying, that the Doggy Department is basically duplicating the work of the Government Accountability Office. Well, it's not even doing that. It's just straight up copying it. That is, the Doggy Department has just officially tweeted something with its source being the Government Accountability Office. Well, gosh, I'm so glad we have the Department of Government Efficiency to retweet what the Government Accountability Office is reporting. It seems so much more efficient having that extra redundant step in there. So sure, you could cut another 100,000 items like this, or you just cut a few bigger items that are also really stupid for a few $1 billion a piece. Like a few years ago, the US government gave a contract for $3 billion to make a craft to land on the moon, and according to the contract, it was meant to do it in early 2024. And they basically spent all of that money and managed to get no further than the Indian Ocean. Seriously, after spending $3 billion of government money, they managed to take a banana to the Indian Ocean, where it burned, caught fire, and exploded.
You have incentives for excellent work, and by the same token, if someone's not doing excellent work, they're exited. Just like normal. It's really what happens in a properly functioning company is that you reward, or think of a sports team. The players that are doing well, they get rewarded, and the players that are not doing well, they exit the team. And that should just be how it works.
How about we demand they give back to us the US taxpayer money that they stole or took in bad faith, knowing that they were incapable of delivering their promises to the people whose money they took? I mean, we're not Roadster customers. This is the US taxpayer.
Like, how is this good for the people of America? It's their money. Like, for some weird reason, a lot of people in the sort of, state or whatever, the politicians, they seem to forget that the money being spent is your money. And if it's not being spent in a way that is beneficial to the American people, it's a misuse of the funds.
And how seriously does the head of SpaceX take all of this? Well, he's currently hard at work boasting about how he spent the last 3 or so hours shitposting on Twitter, rather than making sure the $3 billion of government money was spent responsibly.
If you sleep on your side, I bet you hate your pillow, and this is why. They might be as fluffy as a cloud, but they just don't support your head. So you double up on pillows. You fold them in half, you sleep on your arm, or you just resign yourself to a miserable sleep. How about trying a pillow that actually supports your head? The Pillow Cube is specifically designed for side sleepers. Don't believe me? Let's take a closer look.
How about we find them out of existence for the delays they've caused in other programs? Hell, there's this other company that makes electric cars, and for some reason they effectively get $7,500 from the government for every car they sell, putting a cool $2 or so billion from the US taxpayer into the pocket of the richest techno-Ponzi salesman on the planet. How about we, in the name of efficiency and the free market, don't give the richest man in the world more money?
Like, how is this good for the people of America? It's their money. The Department of Government Efficiency, what that's going to do is take a look at all the federal expenditures. If you're not getting great value for money for your hard-earned tax dollars, cancel it. I would like to say it's a hard job, but actually it's not because there's so much waste.
You know, for free. That seems like the sort of thing that would increase the efficiency of government. Actually, that last one might turn out to be real. And you know who's whining like hell that he might not be getting free government handouts anymore? Elon Musk.
Easy job. Although we'll get a lot of opposition, naturally, from the entrenched interests that get the money and do nothing good with it. They'll be grumpy about it.
With a mere hint that Tesla might not get its $7,500 free government handout with every car they make, he calls the plan insane. Fundamentally, though, these are just the last nails in the coffin. Musk claims that if they could just get rid of all this stifling regulation, his businesses would flourish. Yeah, that's just bullshit. Government regulation is not why they never built the Roadster, and it's not why their full self-driving doesn't work after a decade of saying it'll be ready next year. And it's not why Starship's payload to not orbit is a banana. You could remove every full self-driving regulation tomorrow, and it still wouldn't change the fact that Tesla's full self-driving software doesn't work. They no more have a self-driving car than they have a flying Roadster. And the reason Starship can't take anything to orbit isn't because of regulations. Probably more something to do with the fact that their engine they unveiled in 2016 was going to have some 3.5 tons of thrust in vacuum, and meanwhile their best engine so far only produces about 2.8. Remember, in 2016, about the time that Musk was unveiling the Roadster, he also claimed that they were going to send 4 Starships to Mars this year. 2 manned, 2 unmanned. And that, at the time, was giving himself almost a decade to do things into the future. And instead of landing people on Mars, their best result was flying a single banana to explode in the Indian Ocean, after flying it via not orbit. And now Musk spends the vast majority of his time shitposting on Twitter. But in the dumb dimension, he's in charge of government efficiency. Yeah, this is all suboptimal. Anyway, if you enjoyed that, maybe give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you really like this sort of thing, and if you really like the work of this channel, you can support it directly via Patreon. And thanks for watching.
Well, you know, if you were like me and didn't believe that shit, you would be in a much better place, horseman.
It doesn't, in terms of like voter approval, it doesn't track.
He's so confused. The mainstream media lying for their own benefit. benefit? Impossible!
It does feel like it.
Yo, what is going on, guys? So on today's episode, I've got a little bit of a different video for you here today, and it is titled, I Got Divorced Over Yu-Gi-Oh! A lot of you guys have been sending me this one, asking me to cover it, and I think it's absolutely insane. So we're going to be talking about it here today. Now, if you don't know what Yu-Gi-Oh! Is, for whatever reason, you live under a rock. It is essentially a card game. It's a game. It's a nerdy activity, right? Nothing against nerdy activities. I personally used to love Yu-Gi-Oh! When I was younger. Absolutely fantastic. So this guy was in a marriage, and then his wife divorced him, as far as I understand, because she just couldn't handle the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anymore. So let's jump right in, guys. As always, don't forget to leave your thoughts and your comments. I'm going to leave a link to the original video from this guy down in the description and the pinned comment. Let's jump in.
I need to say this. Let me just say it straight out the way. I am no longer married, and I'm divorced. This is not what this video is about, but there's something that you guys need to know.
Here's how the average man's life would change if he never saw an ad again. Day one, he would install Pi on his computer without spending a dime.
When I met this woman, and I told her about my Yu-Gi-Oh! Stuff, she hated it. She didn't like it. She said that, hey, you can do something better with your life. You should go back to school.
Okay, so let me pause it here. And this is where I have to say to the dude, what the hell were you doing? If you get with a woman and you tell her about this Yu-Gi-Oh! Stuff, and the first words out of her mouth were that she thinks that it's stupid and you shouldn't be doing it, then just don't get involved with the woman in the first place. If this is such a big part of your life, so if you guys didn't know, his whole YouTube channel, he's got a YouTube channel, the one we're on right now. It's called Your Yu-Gi-Oh! Channel. It has 104,000 subscribers on it. So this dude clearly takes Yu-Gi-Oh! Seriously, okay? If you are getting with a woman and she thinks that this is stupid and that you shouldn't be doing it, why would you get with the woman in the first place? Why would you commit to her? And then why would you decide to go on and marry this same woman? You know, guys, I think if dudes were out here and they were like, you know, this whole makeup thing is really stupid. You need to stop doing it. Or, yeah, you need to go back to school. You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do that. You know, imagine how the women would react to this. But for whatever reason, Dudes just put up with this and then put themselves through these situations. Now, not to say I don't empathize with this guy, okay? Going through a divorce is obviously horrible. But why would you marry this woman in the first place if she clearly doesn't care about something that's really quite important to you? Or at the very least, she doesn't despise it like she does.
So you know what I did back in 2016, 17, 16? I said, you know what? Maybe she's right. And you know what I did? I sold all my equipment. I sold my YouTube channel. I sold all my camera stuff. I'm like, you know what? Maybe it is time to move on. Maybe it's time for me to do something better with my life.
Okay, and this is where I have to roast the dudes, man. Dudes will just drop everything because a woman told them so. Oh, I don't like that you play video games. And so the dude will drop video games even though he loves playing video games. Or, oh, I don't like that you've got this kind of car. And so dudes will sell the car. I'm sorry, guys, but if I have a car and some woman goes, I don't like your car, that's nice. I didn't get the car so that you could have a good opinion on it. Do you know what I mean, guys? It's ridiculous. Dudes will just drop everything. They'll compromise the things that they love and that they care about right off the bat for a woman. And I don't even care if it's right off the bat, guys. Why would you drop things like this? This guy sold his equipment, he sold his channel, and so on.
Not knowing that at that time, what I had was very special. At that time, something that I chose to do, YouTube, I had something going on. Even though I had some drama and stuff going on before and I shut down my channel a few times, I had something that I completely gave up. I gave it up because someone said, hey, you know what? Maybe it is time to move on. You got to do something better with your life. There's got to be something more for your life. And I sold all my stuff for a woman. And she's no longer here. And this.
I really hope this guy realizes how stupid this decision was. I don't mean to be mean to him or anything like this, guys, but I really hope he understands that this was a terrible idea. And going forward, he won't do something like this again. I see a lot of guys do this. They'll just do anything, The woman says, okay, go do this. And he'll just instantly do it, even if it's just something completely ridiculous, even if it involves giving up something that he really loves or really cares about.
Problem persists. She told me at that time, hey, you want to meet my mother? You need a car. Because I didn't have a car at the time. I was doing YouTube. I was working from home. I didn't need to drive anywhere. Yes, YouTube is what I did for a living. It's how I paid my bills. And I was street performing also.
Right, so here's the thing, guys. When women come to you and they have these sorts of demands, they don't care about you. Oh, you need to get this if blah, blah, blah. Like they hand you these little ultimatums, or maybe it's a big ultimatum and things like this. I think when somebody hands you an ultimatum, I think it's a really great way to weed out people, to be honest. If people are handing you ultimatums like this, they don't actually care about you. They care more about the reputation of being with you and what you can do for them, rather than you as a person. Again, guys, imagine if dudes came out here with silly ultimatums like this, okay? If the dude didn't need this, why should he go and get one? You know what I'm saying? He works from home. I'm assuming the grocery store must be nearby. He does street performing, and yet she wants him to go out and buy some sort of vehicle to impress her mother. And if he doesn't, then he can't meet her mother or parents or whatever it was. Again, guys, like, what the hell is this? So this dude has to compromise his financial situation or get things that he doesn't need just so that you can have a little status boost in front of your parents. It's so stupid, guys. They don't, women who do this, they genuinely do not care about you.
How did I street perform? I just catch the bus 20 minutes down the street, played my horn, went home. I never needed a car.
Yeah, exactly.
So when I met this woman, you have to go back to school. You have to exercise. You have to get your degree. You have to do something better with your life. Even though I explained to her, this is what I chose to do. A woman comes in your life and try to tell you the plan that you chose for your life is wrong. And out of love, I choose to say, you know what? Maybe she's right. And I took a chance. I took a chance.
Okay, let me stop this guy here. See, this guy says he did this out of love. In my perspective, it's a lack of self-respect. You see what I'm saying? It's like you chose to compromise yourself because a woman told you to do something or a series of things that you shouldn't be doing. I think at a certain point, guys, you know, dudes need to look at themselves and say, why in the hell am I doing this? You know what I'm saying? So let me get this straight. Woman gets with you, right? You get with this woman, knowing full well that you do Yu-Gi-Oh! Or whatever it is, knowing how you choose to live your life, and she sits there and tries to change you, which is annoying as hell, incredibly stupid, don't get it wrong, and then you decide to agree, and you think that's a good idea. You know? I think a lot of guys, they don't do this stuff out of love for the woman. I think it's out of a lack of self-respect, and also they don't have many options with women, so they want to listen to what the woman says so that they don't have to replace her. But at the end of the day, guys, I'll say this, you're probably better off being by yourself than being with a woman who doesn't care about you and gives you these stupid ultimatums. You are going to be better off by yourself, in my opinion. I think a lot of guys have realized that, particularly the older dudes who have been married, been divorced, or whatever the case may be, been through these long-term relationships. If you tell them to, for example, sell a vehicle, get a vehicle because it makes the woman look good, they're just going to say no.
I say, you know what? I'm gonna give this up completely. Like, for good. Sold the channel to Jobber. Sold all my stuff. Tried to go back to school multiple times. There's some... I don't want to say that I can't finish school, but it certainly feels like I can't. I don't know what it is. And every time I talk to people, they just think that everything I say is just an excuse. You are a grown man. You are an adult. You can do it. It's like no one can see it from my perspective. It's like I am always wrong.
I mean, don't get it twisted. I think you probably could complete it. I think most people can complete school. I think modern day schooling is a complete joke, guys. It's designed to steal from you. Now, let me say this. Do I think that it's necessarily a good idea? Probably not. I think a lot of things like universities, colleges, whatever they're called, depending on where you live, these places are a business, and they will absolutely scam you, and they will try and put you in a ridiculous amount of debt. So maybe that's what he's referring to there. You know, financially, he can't afford to do such a decision, which makes sense. But if he's talking about in terms of actually completing it, I think this guy probably could complete the units and stuff they have for him. But I'll agree in the sense that I think it's a stupid idea. A lot of these places don't actually care about making you successful or getting you anywhere in life and things like this. I mean, guys, modern education to me is such a damn joke. It's not even funny. How many people do you see walking around these days and they think they're educated, but they're really not? They've been through a whole bunch of schooling. You know, they've got a whole bunch of debt for some useless degree, and they want to tell you that they are more educated than you and things like this. It's so insane.
When I study, what do? I fall asleep. What do they say? Hey, you're lazy. You're procrastinating. You're choosing not to do this. And I'm like, that's got to be something wrong with me. When it comes to school, studying, and staying on task and staying focused, I just can't do it. And I try, and I go back to school, and I pay all this money, and I pay all this money, and I pay all this money, and I fail, and I fail, and I fail, and I fail. Music has always been there for me, and I've always been great at it. People say that, hey, they try to test me. They say, hey, you know music, right? You know this person? No. Do you know this person? No. You know this person? No. Well, how are you a musician? I also get people saying to me, hey, what key is this in? I say, I don't know. Like, well, they say, well, how are you playing? How are you a musician? How do you play so well? I am not the type of person who is book smart or knowledgeable. I don't know things, but I know how to do things. I know how to do things physically in a creative way. I'm not the type of person who retains things and hold on to things, who can read a book and then take a test, pass it, and go on.
I mean, I think a lot of guys are in the same kind of boat, right? They're sick of being stuck in classrooms, being told what to do. It's hard to focus. I can certainly understand this. I think most dudes have the capability of finishing these things, but I see where this guy is coming from. A lot of these schooling institutions, they just want you to sit there for like hours upon hours in a classroom listening to some muppet teach you about something that you don't really need to be understanding, and then they test you on it, and you obviously don't care about what's being taught anyway. You know, and how can you? A lot of the times, guys, you go to school with like a passion for a particular thing, you start going to those classes, you'll probably lose passion for it because the teachers are just so uncharismatic, and you will not want to emulate their life in any capacity. I see what this guy is saying. I think a lot of dudes really struggle to sit behind a desk for such a long period of time. I think we as dudes, we should probably be out there actively doing things. I think it's really bad also for young men who are in the schooling system, obviously too. Like, imagine you have a classroom full of young dudes, young men, and what you do is you sit them there, or young boys, you know, in like primary school and things like this, and you just like, you make them sit there for hours behind a desk doing nothing, and then if they're fidgety, well then apparently they need to be medicated and things like this. It is so stupid. I think it's a really bad setup for men in particular. I'll agree with you. I think a lot of guys have the capability of finishing it, but boy do I think it is stupid. I really do. I agree with the guy in the sense that it's stupid.
That's not me. I am a creative-minded person. Anything that involves creativity, I can do, at least to some degree, where people are like, wow, you do it so well. You ever thought about going to school? No, I tried. It doesn't work. So, this is all tying together. I met the parents. They asked me, hey, what do you do for a living? I had to tell them,
Store closes in 5. We just need to grab a few more gifts.
Jackpot. That's the one.
Yes! Okay, let's go.
JJ, what? Hey, I made my family disappear.
I am a musician. I couldn't tell them I was a street musician. I am a musician. Then they said, hey, do you have a degree? I said, I don't have a degree. My ex-wife parents did not speak to me for 2 years. And
yeah, see, this is where you just say, okay, not a problem, peace. I'm out of there. The family clearly doesn't like me. The woman's trying to change me into something different. Why the hell are you there? You know, guys, like, dudes will just put themselves in situations like this. And I just don't, I think dudes, the main problem that men have is just a lack of self-respect and putting themselves in situations that they shouldn't be in.
Told her not to marry me because I don't have a degree. What sense does that make? So I give up this YouTube thing. I give up my entrepreneurial things. I try to do something that's not innately a part of my strengths at all because I'm thinking I'm in love to do something for somebody to prove something. And this continues on through the marriage. She says, hey, you need to find a hobby. I'm like, oh, let me play Yu-Gi-Oh again. So, last December, last year, I start my channel up again. I buy my channel back from Java, like, oh, she gave me the okay to go into a hobby.
What the hell is this, man? She gave me the okay to have a hobby. This is ridiculous, guys. This I'm sorry, but this is so ridiculous. Like, letting your wife or your girlfriend lead your life like this is so crazy to me, guys. Right? I don't know if I've really mentioned this too much on the channel, right? But I'm a huge fan of video games. Ever since I was a kid, I really enjoy video games. If some woman tries to tell me to stop playing video games, or I've got some guy friend or whatever the hell who tells me to stop video games, I'll be like, that's nice, and I won't stop. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're a man. You don't have to accept things that people tell you just because they tell you to do things. I don't like this idea of like, well, I love her, so I have to do what she says. It's like, how about we consider the fact that she's telling you what to do? If she was with you in the beginning, knowing you played Yu-Gi-Oh, then why are you stopping to play Yu-Gi-Oh? And also, this is the classic example, by the way, guys, of women getting with men and then trying to change them and then leaving them when the dude actually does change, by the way. I've been saying this since the beginning of the channel, guys, but oftentimes women will try and get with guys specifically that look difficult to change, you know, really set in their ways, and then the moment she can actually change your behaviors, she just bounces anyway. So, you know, what's the point of even changing the behaviors? I don't understand. It's not like this guy is out here, you know, robbing stores like and things like this. And she's like, wow, you know, this hobby of robbery that you have is probably not healthy for our relationship. That might be a bit different because you can end up in prison. But the man's playing Yu-Gi-Oh, for goodness sake. Yu-Gi-Oh. Again, which if you didn't know, guys, card game. Like, ridiculous.
You know what she said? You're spending too much time playing those cards. It's either the cards or me. She literally said that. I like, you just said I need a hobby, I get into a hobby, and now you said I'm doing it too much. What?
Yeah, again, this is something else about a lot of modern women, guys, is like, what did we watch an episode on recently? It was like men doing, I think it was just men playing video games, and women were getting pissed off about it. And it's like, it doesn't really matter what the hobby is for a lot of these girls, unfortunately. They'll just be mad at you if your attention goes away from them. I don't think it matters if it's video games. I don't think it matters if it's like, you know, painting miniatures. I don't think it really matters what the hobby is. It's just because the attention is going elsewhere.
What is it? What do I do? She says, why are you into those cards so much? I said, hey, I need to make a video about something. And I haven't played this card game for 2 years, on and off. How can I make a video for my subscribers about something I have no knowledge of? And I try to explain it to her, but she don't get it. She thinks it's just cards you pick up and you just play like Uno. It's not that way. Every 3 months, a new set come out, new stuff come out. I can't make a video about something if I don't know what it's about. I can't start my channel back up and just start making videos. I have to be in it. I have to learn about it and learn what's going on. So she hated those cards. She literally cried because of those cards. And people say, hey, priorities, man. It's your wife, or, you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. But
yeah, I strongly dislike this stuff, guys, of like, you know, happy wife, happy life. You have to give up a whole bunch of crap if you want to have a wife or a girlfriend or things like this. And my thoughts are always, okay, what's the point of having the girlfriend or the wife in the first place if she tries to change you in the things that you're interested in? Again, guys, imagine if dudes were walking around and they were like, you know what, I think it's time that the women gave up makeup, for example, or I think it's time that they gave up watching TikTok on their phones, or whatever the case may be, or, you know, whatever hobby that the woman might be interested in, okay? Maybe she's interested in cooking or something like this. I don't know why the hell you would ever try and make a woman give up cooking, by the way. I think a lot of dudes absolutely love when women cook for them. But you see my point. Imagine if dudes were walking around trying to get women to give up their hobbies. Everyone would be like, you know what people would say about that, by the way? People would say that the men are insecure and controlling. You know that. If I went out there, and, you know, or dudes in general, maybe some dude who's got a wife, okay, and he's got his wife, I don't know, her name's Cheryl, and Cheryl's really interested into collecting something, okay, and he says to Cheryl, hey, you need to give this up. It's either me or your little hobby here. And Cheryl goes out and tells people, what's going to happen is that man is going to be crucified by everybody. He's controlling, he's manipulative, he's this, he's that kind of thing. Even though, you know what I'm saying, guys? Like, you reverse the situation and it's completely insane. Why in the hell would you get with somebody who does something that you don't like in the first place, guys? This is why, you know what, this is a great example, for example, why a lot of dudes don't get into relationships with women who work on poles, for example. You know why they don't do that? I mean, there's many reasons, but because they don't want a girlfriend or a wife who works on a pole. you know what I mean? It's so obvious, guys. But women will get into these relationships knowing full well what the dudes do and then try and change them. I have issues with both people, to be honest. I don't think the men should be changing for the woman. Certainly not in that capacity. And I don't think the women should be trying to change the dudes.
Then I'll be back at that point where I'm giving up things that I like, things that's a part of my life, for someone else to feel happy.
How does Alaska's land help fund community services for Alaskans with behavioral health conditions and developmental?
And I feel miserable in the process. I'm sitting there watching all these YouTubers come out and make videos and do all this stuff. They're traveling. I'm like, that's what I used to do. I love that. I miss that. Why can't she come along with my journey instead of scrutinizing me? And then that's money gone from me.
Yeah, see, and this guy probably made money from doing that too. You know, if he's traveling off of it and things like this, huge congratulations to him for making that work, right? But again, he's sitting there and he's like, you know, why can't the woman follow my lead? Why can't we just do this? Is what I used to do. It was working well and things like this. And my question is this. My question is why, you know, not why would the woman not do this? It's why would you choose a woman who wouldn't do this with you in the first place? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the point of being with a woman or getting with a woman who doesn't even like, you know, your hobby? I don't understand this, guys. I think dudes do a lot of this stuff to themselves. They really do. This is like kind of like the equivalent of you know, what's it called? Women chasing very attractive men, getting no relationship out of them and just having intimacy with them, right? And then they're complaining and they're like, he used me for intimacy. It's like, yeah, maybe don't give him up the intimacy. It's like obviously the man's going to use you for intimacy. I don't know why you're giving your body to him in the first place. They're like, why men and women sacrifice? People in general just chase things that have no interest in them. They don't care about you. This woman that probably does not really care about this guy at all. And yet he, you know, he sacrificed a lot for her. I don't know why the hell he would do that.
Not about the money, but that was money gone from me. Then street performing. I said to her, hey, I don't want to move away from Baltimore. You may be thinking, why? That's where my home base is. My gigs, my performances, everything. Keep in mind, I didn't have a job. Like, when I say I don't have a job, like a real job. A real job is, you know, going in 9 to 5. I didn't have a real job for over 10 years. It was YouTube and playing my horn. That's how I paid all my bills.
And you know what? Shout out to this guy. If he was able to do that through those things, I think that's, you know, huge congratulations to him. Most people can't do that, right? And so what did he do? He gave away his capability of making an income, by the way, in order to go out here, waste money, going to school in all likelihood, for something he probably didn't care about. I mean, it's like all the logic just goes out the window.
So when we got married and we moved out to Baltimore to somewhere else that I didn't want to be, she said, hey, how come you're not paying the bills? And I was like, what? I have a job. I have a 9 to 5 job. I don't make enough from this 9 to 5 job to pay all these bills. Before then, I could street performing in YouTube. I made enough money off of that to pay the bills. Now I'm working 9 to 5 all day long, and that's not a complaint because there are people who do that. But I had something that most people wish they had. Most people wish they can go out, make some money, pay their bills, and have all day off. That was a gift. That was something, that was something that I had. Now, you can take this video as me complaining, crying, I messed up. It is all of that. It is true. I am complaining. I am hurt. I made some mistakes. I did some dumb things. And
you know what, I really appreciate in this video though that this guy understands that he fundamentally made mistakes, you know. I'd be a lot more worried if this guy made this video and he didn't understand that he shouldn't have done the things that he did. That's the thing. If you make a mistake once, right, it's like I'm not nearly going to roast you as much. But if you keep making the same damn mistake, I think it's pretty damn silly, you know. But if this guy walks out of this situation and he goes, you know what, I was a complete dumbass, I shouldn't have done this, I shouldn't have gave up the things that I cared about, that I was passionate about, I shouldn't have compromised my finances and things like this, and probably his mental health too, to be honest, if he's giving up the things that he really cared about. If he understands that that was a terrible idea, I mean, that's enough for me. But I think a lot of guys, they do this stuff to themselves multiple times consecutively. You know, they go out there, they completely ruin themselves, they make a series of bad decisions, and then they don't learn from it. But as long as this guy's understanding that he did something really stupid, then that's totally fine. I don't make this video to roast this guy. He's probably a chill dude, you know?
You're right. It is my fault. I chose to sell my channel. I chose to give up the thing, not realizing, say, you know what? This is my YouTube channel. This is my life. You can't come into my life and dictate to me and tell me what's better for me because you don't see it from my perspective. And then get mad at me when I lose all of those things that I can't do, and I can't do what you think I should do. I've never been that way.
Let's get to work, fam. Turn it up.
It's like you're trying to tell me to walk or run a lap or a race with no legs. You're trying to tell me to do something that I innately just cannot do. And when I say I can't do that, it's just an excuse. So I'm moving out. In 2 weeks, I'll be moving out. I'll have my own place again. I'm starting over, starting my life over. And you guys know I couldn't make videos when in the house. The only time I can make YouTube videos is when she's gone. And you might be thinking, well, why is that? She would come in here from her room and say, hey, you're too loud.
I can't handle this, man. I can't handle this. It's like, yeah, obviously, you know, she can't even let him do these things in peace, by the way. Yeah, I mean, this guy's probably going to end up a lot happier when he's just completely left this area. If he can go back to where he was street performing, get his setup going again, he's probably going to end up a lot happier than he is in this particular marriage.
Hey, I'm trying to read. I'm like, wait, what? I gotta talk. I gotta make a video. I'm disturbing her. And yes, I'm venting and I'm ranting. If you stayed this long, thank you. If you didn't, it's okay. But I needed to get this off my chest because it was brewing. I am deeply hurt. And I hurt myself. I don't blame her at all. Everything that I've chosen to do is because I wanted to do it. I wanted to make someone happy. I thought I can be that person for someone else, and I thought I can do it. I thought I can get away from YouTube and Yu-Gi-Oh! And street performing. I thought I can go back to school and pass and get a real job and make some good money to pay all my bills. I thought I could be that man who could do those things.
Isn't it funny, by the way? Let's just think about this for a second. This guy seemed like he fully well had the capability of providing for her, but of course it just wasn't up to her standards. You know, it's like, oh yeah, well, it kind of reminds me about the treatment that people like plumbers get. You can be a dude and you can be a plumber and you can make a crap load of money, right? You can be really good at your job, have a business going, that sort of thing, and you can be a plumber. But for a lot of modern women, it's not good enough for them because you don't have a glamorous position. Being a plumber isn't something like, oh, you know, I married John and John's a lawyer, or he's like I don't know, whatever the hell, right? It's not a glamorous position. And so women want you to change your position, even though it works perfectly fine, and it might be something that you are good at. It's so ridiculous. And then dudes agree to this stuff, man. You know, the lack of self-respect. Yeah, okay, no problem. I'll do this, even though it's completely damaging to their financial situation. It's completely damaging to their mental health because they probably like what it is that they're doing. They're probably in that particular thing for a reason, you know. And I don't like, I've said this on the channel many times, but the lack of self-respect that I think a lot of guys have for themselves because they don't want to be alone. But I think what a lot of guys eventually understand is that you are honestly better off just being by yourself if you are in positions like this. Like, the woman clearly doesn't give a damn. Like, let's be real about it. I don't mean to be rude again, but the women in these situations oftentimes don't care about the men.
But the truth is, I have special gifts and talents that other people wish they had to be able to pay and make money and do things in ways people wish they could. It's ironic, isn't it? It's ironic that I wish that I can go to school and work a 9-to-5 job all day long to pay all my bills. It's ironic that I want to do what people hate to do.
Just by the way, I think if this guy were to go out there and actually do these things, by the way, I still think the woman wouldn't like him, and the woman would still be annoying as hell and have all sorts of issues with it. Again, it's just a constant battle to try and change the guy. That's what it really is.
They hate to go in and live a mundane life. They hate that. And they want to have their own business. They want to make their own money. They want to have their free time. I had that. Literally, I would work 3 hours a day, and have enough at the end of the month to pay all my bills and do whatever I need, and travel. But that wasn't good enough for the person I was with. It wasn't secured enough. What if you didn't make enough, was the question. What about medical bills? What about this? What about that? What about retirement? What about all the stuff?
Yeah, maybe we could bump it up from 3 hours a day. I don't know. Like, if this guy is working 3 hours a day doing his street performing and his YouTube or whatever, and he was able to pay the bills, it's like, and she's making up all these what if scenarios, then I'm sure he'd be happy to play some more Yu-Gi-Oh! You know, or whatever it is that he's doing. It's just so stupid, guys. Again, I think it's not necessarily what it is that you're doing. I just think a lot of women oftentimes have a vendetta to try and change the guy. And when they can change the guy, they just end up leaving him. I think it's a very bad strategy and something very bad for men to agree to. But guys, we're going to be leaving today's episode there. As always, do not forget to leave your thoughts and your comments. What do you think about this particular story? Make sure you guys take care of yourselves, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.
Welcome back, Tribe. I have one here from How Money Works. Nobody wants to work anymore. Let's get into it.
It's a classic gripe of out-of-touch corporate executives hiring minimum wage workers, or the trust fund baby who is angry that their gym is busy in the middle of the day. Nobody wants to work anymore. Now, I really hate to say this, but by looking at the numbers, they might have a point. Labor force participation is approaching generational lows even after the pandemic, while labor force participation amongst men specifically is the lowest it has ever been. These declines have been happening at the same time that unemployment is theoretically quite low, which, if the economists are to be believed, means it should be easy for people who want to get a job, right? Well, not quite. And these numbers are confusing at best, or
because they're lying. They've been lying since like the 70s, since they started cooking all the books, feeding us BS, telling us that you need to have special criteria to be considered unemployed. How about you go back to the old model? It was very simple. You have a job? Yes? Okay, you're employed. You don't have a job? Okay, you're unemployed. Who cares why? Because you're missing a leg, because you got mental issues. Doesn't matter. You're either employed or you're not employed. Now we have all these special exemptions. Well, you got to be looking for a job and actively have applied in the last like 6 months to be considered for blah, blah. It's bullshit. They're lying to you. This economy is way worse than they're telling you guys. We know because we feel it in our pockets when we go to the store, when we buy food, groceries, gas, all this shit. It adds up. Electricity costs, all this adds up. And they're telling us inflation has finally been stabilized. It's only transitory. Yeah, my ass.
Or downright misleading at worst.
Is people just don't want to go to work.
There's a poll I read a long time ago. Only like 18% of Americans feel engaged when they're at work.
I hate my job!
The signs are everywhere. Businesses, especially restaurants, need employees and they need them
Dude,
now.
less than 20% of the country likes their fucking job.
It's a lot of work to go through an entire vehicle and fix any potential issues before it's ready to sell. At Kendall, we don't do guesswork. After our 163-point inspection, we know that vehicle is safe and ready to go. All that means one thing: confidence. Shop any Kendall dealership and you're covered with the Kendall Auto Protection Plan included in the purchase. Buy with confidence. Drive with peace.
Okay, so there are two general schools that people fall into when they see that nobody wants to work anymore. The first group are wealthy executives, business owners, or just people who have always worked incredibly hard who don't like that jobs are going unfilled. So they blame it on lazy young people who would rather sit around all day smoking cones and watching Skibidi toilets. The second school of thought agrees that yes, people don't want to work. They don't want to work demeaning jobs where they won't get paid enough to support a decent quality of life. It's nice when two groups who are so different can agree on something. So really, the only thing left is to work out why people don't want to work. Now, in most cases,
Here's why, because the CEOs are making more money than they ever have. When you look at the ratio between CEO pay and employee pay, it's the highest it's ever been. They're hoarding all the money. They hoard all the profits. The companies don't care about the workers anymore. They'll do stock buybacks before they'll give you a bonus, before they give you a raise. That's bullshit. Why would you want to slave away for a company that will not pay you a living wage, instead takes all the money it makes collectively, all the profits from the workers, and only distributes it to like a board of 15 members? You know, Ted needs his 8th yacht. I always make that joke because Carl just bought his 10th one, and so he can't get left behind. Meanwhile, you're starving, bro. Your pockets are full of lint. You can't afford groceries. McDonald's is too expensive to go out and eat at anymore now. It's like a sit-down restaurant in prices. What do? Eat bug sandwiches. That's the future, right? You will own nothing and you will be happy if you survive your turbo cancer from that thing you got a couple of years ago.
Jobs that nobody wants to work fall into one of three categories. The first are jobs that are just paying well below market rates given the experience or the location required. Businesses aren't going to be able to fill a full-stack senior development role in Silicon Valley for $50,000 a year plus equity in their questionable pre-seed startup. But there are still plenty that try. Even entry-level jobs that pay minimum wage in very high cost of living areas are going to be much harder to fill in a city where even finance bros are living in shared housing. Now, hot take alert. But just like there are no shortage of crappy businesses and managers that expect to pay workers nothing for world-class skills and experience, there are lots of workers who expect world-class pay with little or no marketable expertise. One of the most insightful pieces of data on this issue is this recent survey right here. It asked a selection of Americans what they considered to be the minimum salary they would need to be financially successful. Now, most of the responses to these numbers have been laughing at the Gen Zs just entering the workforce who think that almost $600,000 a year is a realistic salary goal. Because for most people, it just isn't. Unless you are in a few very specific career paths, there are basically no jobs that pay this money. And even then, you need an insane amount of luck to get those opportunities. Now, you can blame this on young people who don't really know how the world works yet, or social media that makes it look like every hustle bro is flying private. But it's all distracting from a more interesting data point. The average boomer thinks financial success is achieved with a salary of just under $100,000. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, this is still almost double the median national salary. But in most major cities where people can actually find jobs that pay this much, $100,000 certainly doesn't afford a lifestyle of financial success. There is simply a massive gap in expectations between the generations looking for their first jobs and the group responsible for giving out most of the jobs. So they both agree that nobody wants to work, just for different reasons. The second type of job that nobody wants to work are in workplaces that push their staff, demand unreasonable overtime, or have management that are needlessly abusive. This happens in a shocking amount of businesses across the country. And even if you are lucky enough to avoid a boss that thinks shouting is an effective motivation tool, you have probably worked some overtime out of fear of losing your job or being reprimanded. According to a 2023 workplace survey, the average full-time worker across the country studied is now putting in an average of 9.2 hours of unpaid overtime. These jobs often don't have much trouble finding people to start, but they do struggle with high staff turnover.
Nothing worse, too, than working for a company where the boss or your direct supervisor is a complete buffoon and passes off all his work to you and takes all the credit. I don't know how many people are stuck in positions like that, but I swear more than half of my friends complain about inept management. Always the number one issue in the workplace. Management is shit. The employees are really happy. Have you noticed when you have a really good manager, team leader, leads by example, puts in work, directs people, delegates properly, that everybody's like happy to come into work, like shit's running smooth. His whatever division or section of the company he's running, everything is going great. There's no problems. There's no write-ups. Nothing, man. All works according to plan. You throw in some shitty mid-level management and everything is in chaos. Workers don't want to work. They're being berated and micromanaged. The higher-ups above mid-level management is yelling at mid-level management because their performance metrics are so shit because they can't manage, which in then will start yelling at the employees beneath them because you guys need to work harder. It's not my management that sucks. We have a management problem, not only in business, but colleges too. Look at the amount of administrators compared to college students. We have the most administrators and administrative staff across the board than we've ever had. Dude, that number, I don't know, it's something up like, it's a ridiculous number. If you guys could look up the percentages that it's grown by, it has to be at least 500%, I think it was, or much higher than that. It's either like 5 or 5,000, something. I don't know. Don't quote me on those numbers, but it's shot up as much as college tuition has, basically. So that's why college tuition is so expensive, because they're just paying all the staff, mid-level management, all the bums that do absolutely nothing on campus. Where's the research? Where's the professors? Where's the cutting edge? Nowhere to be found, because it's all being sucked up by rich people using endowments and getting their kids in legacy style by paying and graduating with just the namesake of going to Ivy School, but the actual cutting-edge research and all that shit has slowed down dramatically because we got to pay all the bums sitting around twiddling their thumbs up their ass in their offices doing God knows what.
The third are simply jobs that never actually existed. You probably all know about ghost jobs by now, but even if you really do want to work, there is a good chance that most of your applications are just going to build out a workforce database, not to actually be considered for employment.
Oh, beautiful.
Now, whatever the specific reason, the results are the same. Less people end up working. But aside from settling some beef between entitled Zoomers and some out-of-touch boomers, this data all reveals something more concerning about work in the current economy. It's not that people don't want to work anymore. They simply can't afford to. Okay, so yeah, there are millions of people out there that think nobody wants to work because they couldn't hire someone with 20 years of experience on a programming language that has only been out for 5 years for $15 an hour. There are also people who don't want to work because they think unless they...
That's so true, dude. Hey, we have this new product. It's only a year old. We're going to require 5 years experience. Okay, dude, how? It was just invented. Don't worry about that. That's just kind of what we put on there to harvest your data. We had no intention of hiring you. That's why it's called a ghost job. And we'll be selling your data, making money anyways. Oh, great, dude. Totally fucking cool. Where's the government agency that's supposed to be protecting me in these situations? Oh, that's right. They don't exist. Yet they got $1 billion, just got sent over to Africa. I put that in the community post. I don't want to make it too political, but hello, East Palestine. Hello, Lahaina. Hello, North Carolina, Florida, Texas, all these places that have had natural disasters. Your house burns down, you get $700. Good luck, kid. Land of the free. Your government sure does care about you.
They are offered 6 figures in their first roll out of high school, it's not worth their time, and they would be better off sitting at home working on their NFT dropshipping business. both of these groups definitely exist in China.
Yeah, honestly, bro, with the way the economy is today, if you don't have a specialized skill for yourself that you can leverage, working for these companies is hellacious. Honestly, I'd be busting my ass if I had no skills whatsoever. I'm gonna go, I'll flip burgers at McDonald's, Burger King. I don't give a shit temporarily. I'm playing the fucking meme coin roulette, dude. We're in a bull market. It happens once every 3-4 years or so, whatever, 2 years. Not sure when. I'm straight up meme coining it. The Hawk Tuah girl just got a Hawk Tuah meme coin up to 500 million in market cap and then dumped that shit. She's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. She dumped it 92%. Is she going to jail? I don't know. That'd be a crazy timeline. You had a sexual suggestive remark spitting on a penis. You then somehow got contracted to get a podcast, and you're making millions of dollars. Then you rug pulled the shit out of all your fans with a meme coin. I mean, can it be any more 21st century than that? And is worth hundreds of millions of dollars now. Will there be jail time? Remains to be seen. Meanwhile, the rest of you go apply to ghost jobs, go work your dead-end jobs in general, or your gig economy shit where you're delivering food in your own car, hoping that people tip you just so you could survive. But yeah, we could spit on a penis, go Hawk Tuah, and make millions.
Shockingly large numbers. But even though it's really fun to make fun of both sides, it distracts from the much more important reason why labor force participation is getting worse. Well, as you might have been able to guess, this trend is really being driven by specific age groups and specific locations. If you look at labor force participation and exclude the youngest generation of workers and the oldest generation of workers, it's actually approaching all-time highs, which really makes sense when you think about it. It's common for both men and women to work full-time these days, and for most households, it's simply a financial necessity.
In 16 years, Greg Gerstner will land the perfect cannonball. With friends he's already meeting now at AARP volunteer and community events to help make sure his happiness lives as long as he does. The younger you are, the more you need AARP.
What's up, Auntie? Did you get the basketball shoes I need for tryouts this weekend?
Oh, dude,
It's okay.
I'm not going to be able to make it to Dick's this week.
You can just click on Dix.com.
Dix.com. Dix.com.
Hi, welcome to Dix.com. Wow,
they're beautiful.
Let's go shopping.
So yeah, even if people don't want to work anymore, they kind of are stuck doing it anyway. The reason labor force participation has fallen off in general, though, is because the average is being dragged down by a lot of young workers and old workers. The old workers are the easiest to explain. As people started living longer, retirement ages were pushed back, and more of the population began working in non-physical jobs. As a result, a larger share of the population over 55 remained in the workforce. This has started to reverse, though, as self-funded retirement systems and general asset prices have allowed a lot of over 55s to step back from the labor force, especially after COVID, as a lot of people received severance packages and decided that an early retirement was better than going back to the office. Labor force participation from young people just entering the workforce either out of high school or college is also pulling down the average, just for different reasons. More people than ever are getting a college degree, which means they are starting to work later. And fewer people are working part-time jobs while they study because for many, it's simply not worth it given how much debt they are going to be in when they graduate anyway. This might not also be a shock to you, but it's getting really damn hard to find a job out of college. A few months ago, a post from a professor at Berkeley made the rounds after it spoke about his top students from a top college struggling to find work in technology, an industry that was hiring highly intelligent graduates like this as fast as they could make them just 24 months ago. Previously, a Berkeley CS graduate, even if not a top student, would receive multiple appealing job offers in terms of work type, location, salary, and employer. However, outstanding students, like those with a 4.0 in major GPA, are now contacting me worried because they have zero offers. I suspect this trend is irreversible and likely part of the broader trend impacting almost every employment sector. It's pretty grim stuff coming out of one of the best schools in the country. It might not be the most logical thing to do, but a common reaction from people who can't land a job with a degree they got to make them more employable is to just go get another degree. The rate of master's and PhD recipients.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Guys, we're headed in that direction where AI is going to completely destroy most meaningless work. Paper pushing, email writing, answering questions with customers, all that shit's getting automated. Like, just give ChatGPT and all these other AI models or LLMs, whatever you want to call them, 5 more years. Give them like 5 more years of iteration. And I guarantee you the product's going to be good enough that most of this mid-level bullshit is going to disappear. The cubicle work is going to disappear. The only people that will still be working are those that have like very specialized subset of skills that can't be replicated in the LLM or still need face-to-face with clients on top of selling a product or a service, you know, something like that. Because at the end of the day, once they get this shit really fine-tuned, even trucking is going to disappear. You're going to walk into Walmart, you're going to walk into McDonald's, you're going to do your order with the AI bot. There's not going to be anybody at the front. You might have just the fry cook and all that until robotics replaces that shit too and makes it so that your burger comes out exactly the same every single time you order it. Exactly cooked at the exact time, the fries dipped in the oil at the exact time, pulled out, everything. Your meal's gonna come out basically uniform every single time. And there may be like 1 or 2 people in there that all they do simply is manage, make sure all the machines are running, replace things that need to be replaced. You know, it's like maintenance work. But there won't be any more front-facing customer shit. They'll put a little robot-looking Jane in the front that'll talk to you or take your order on the screen. It'll just be a giant screen. You wait in line and you already do that. Right now, you could take your order like that. So, you know, basic legal work. What else did I see that it was going to replace? Tutors, guys. You know, you want to homeschool your kids? Imagine an AI 5-6 years from now, 7 years from now, when your kid's ready to go to school. And you have an AI tutor that's extremely powerful. It could be in the form of that, you know, a tablet, or you could put it in a human-like body, something like that. And it can speak live with you directly, because they already can right now. There's a bit of a lag, but still it can talk. Imagine having a live, lag-free conversation with somebody that is infinitely better than a tutor, infinitely cheaper. Tutors are expensive. Private teachers are expensive. You know what this is going to do for tuitions and all that? It's going to destroy our view of schooling. Is going to change completely. Schooling is going to become something not where your kids go to learn, but where your kids go to be socialized. Like, it'll be socialization based only, because the tutor you have at home has infinite knowledge, can explain concepts super advanced in the most simplest way a 5-year-old could understand, and will have your kid outperforming. And it learns how fast your kid is advancing in certain topics, where they need help. It can identify your strengths and your weaknesses in your child. Dude, and it's just a program that you'll probably pay either a yearly subscription for, monthly subscription, or a one-time buy that gets constantly updated. The future is gonna be crazy, guys. You have no idea. You'll be able to essentially self-educate at home. I don't know what colleges are gonna do, because all the information's already online. If you've been using ChatGPT, Claude, or all these other Llama LLMs, stuff like that, you already know they can teach you how to day trade. They can teach you how to start a business from absolutely zero. They can teach you how to market. They can teach you how to get clients, speak to clients, selling techniques. Dude, write legal papers that you would need, contracts and stuff like that, addendums. It can do everything already, almost perfectly. It could even code you websites. You need to build a website, you need to design a logo. They can already do that right now. Like, people that are in design are getting crushed. That was one of the first things that got destroyed. We thought like, no, the human mind, you know, there's something about creativity and art that can't be replicated. Bullshit, the AI has absolutely crushed it. Midjourney and all that, even ChatGPT now. And there's other LLMs that have come out that could do text correctly and fingers correctly, so they don't look weird anymore. But you go want to design a logo on ChatGPT, bro, in seconds. Just ask it, I need a logo design for this business that does this, this, and this. Boom, it'll pop one out. You used to have to pay thousands of dollars potentially for that. Now you do it for free. Hell, the t-shirt designs you guys see, the Hoflation, all that stuff is helped with AI creation. It's insane. It's insane what you could do.
Sapiens has grown even faster than people getting an undergraduate degree, because that's now normal to stand out in a highly competitive job market. And to be honest, it's a nice way for people to avoid the reality of the job market for another few years. Spending another 2 to 8 years at college to get advanced degrees means people aren't in the labor force, which pulls down the average to look worse than it really is. So those are the ages that are perpetuating this dumb myth. But this trend is also highly dependent on location. And to see that, you need to go to the place where apparently the absolute least amount of people want to work. Yes, the Rust Belt state has the lowest labor force participation in the country, but also some of the most unusual statistical anomalies. The state is quite poor after its major industries like coal mining and manufacturing were either outsourced or simply fell out of widespread use. This means that a lot of areas have effectively been left behind with no major employment opportunities, meaning that labor force participation is much lower than the national average. But strangely, in some areas, the participation rate is much higher than what would be expected. A recent study conducted by economists from Hamline University, Cornell, and Virginia Tech found that depending on the county, labor force participation in West Virginia ranges from 42% to 77%, a gap between regions of 35%, while the average across the US states is just 17%, less than half of West Virginia. It's not unusual that cities and working towns will have higher labor force participation than other areas, because people often
And also, the companies shipped your job overseas with the help of the politicians striking deals with companies to make a huge profit. Why? Because they don't want to pay you an American salary. Could they? Of course they could, but the guy couldn't buy his 8th yacht. You're getting fucked by the government and by the corporations. They work hand in hand. That is fascism. That's classic fascism. Corporate oligarchy. Socialized losses, privatized gains. You're getting fucked. Too big to fail. Remember that shit? What capitalism, bro? Please. Capitalism's so great. You don't live under a capitalist system, you toad. Companies get bailed out while you get fucked. Left with $700 when your house burns down. You think you're in a capitalist system when we protect the rich? Come on, bro. We protect companies? What? This is corporate socialism. This system's a joke. That's why it's better to be a company in America. Hell, they got personhood. Remember, Citizens United? Technically, it's a person. It can donate unlimited funds to your favorite politicians, totally, for no reason whatsoever. No favors being granted. When people wake up and realize this shit, you're going to stop this whole red or blue rhetoric, this conservative versus liberal rhetoric. Populism should be increasing dramatically. People need to be looking up instead of in front of or at each other. It's the politicians and the CEOs and every special interest group puts money in the political machine to subvert its will of the people. Stop looking at each other. It's not men's fault. It's not women's fault. It's not a conservative. It's not a liberal. It's not a this right-winger, left-winger. All this shit is synthetic division created to hold us apart, hating each other, and tunnel vision on things that don't matter, while the people at the top rake in billions and billions in profit. We just had the largest upward transfer of wealth after COVID. The middle class in America practically disappeared. All their businesses, all their livelihoods, all their savings got destroyed, while the wealthy were collecting, sucking up money like a vacuum, taking all the government benefits and the loans. Their multinational corporations were all allowed to be open. They were considered important businesses, whatever the word they were using back then, while you were considered not important. And so you were forced to close down, and you lost everything you ever built. And then you'll look across your street to your neighbor, and you go, this piece of shit Trump voter. And they'll look back at you and go, you piece of shit Biden voter. Meanwhile, the political machine itself makes money either way. Why else would, think about this. This is how weird it sounds. Why do corporations donate money to both parties? If this was really an ideological thing, right, like my side is morally better than yours, we are on the correct side of history, why do corporations give money to both parties? Isn't that weird? Does that sound like a rigged game? Let me bet on all 6 horses, and one of them will win, and the one that wins is going to pay me out big. That's cheating, bro. While everybody else is only allowed to bet on one horse. Okay.
Specifically moved to these locations just to get work. But this variance was startling and uncovered a bigger national trend. The people in areas that still had work can't afford not to work, and the people in areas with no work couldn't afford to move to areas with work, since it could mean giving up family support networks or simply paying for the cost to relocate housing. A lot of people who had the financial means have already moved out of the state, only making this problem worse, as they take business opportunities and money away with them. It's a dense read because it's an academic paper. It's for nerds. But if you ever feel compelled to say that nobody wants to work anymore, I definitely suggest you have a look at it. The report itself also looks at welfare issues specific to West Virginia. But just because the state is experiencing this problem the worst doesn't mean that it's in any way just something hurting them. The trend of a few concentrated cities doing extremely well while everywhere else stagnates can make nationwide figures look good. But it also means people who want to work have an option of trying their luck for one of the few jobs left in areas with fewer opportunities, or living in an extremely expensive city to compete with everybody else, fighting over a spot in the few places left where people can reliably get ahead.
There are about 1,200 RN vacancies within the state. That number is projected to grow past 5,000 within 2030. Research has shown that if we grow our own nurses,
Finance and tech have become one of the last escape ropes for people to make a deal with the devil to get out of these areas with little to no opportunities. And I am going to be writing an article about how even that career path is becoming impossible in my completely free...
Yeah, look, I'll give you guys an example of what AI can do. I've been using it to help me day trading. I just want you guys to see what this thing can do. I fed it a chart just so you can get an idea. I feed it a chart. It'll look like this. You guys know what a stock chart looks like. I then tell it, I gave it a prompt to analyze everything. It'll analyze everything. It even spits out. Let me get all this stuff out of the way. It'll spit out like a spreadsheet like this for me, and it'll say update market analysis and trading setups. It tells you what the current price was. It'll tell you that it's a recovery structure forming. I've used this successfully. It gets most of the trades correct, actually. Once you build out the prompt and you keep feeding it data and you tell it to track all its trades and fine-tune them to become more and more successful. And then it goes, look, technical structure. This is, it'll go completely over your head if you've never traded, but just listen to the amount of data and what it's telling you. Higher time frame analysis, recovery structure building above 97,500, decreasing volatility indicating stabilization, key resistance formed at that level, support at this level, momentum shifts from bearish to neutral. Then it does an analysis on the volume, because that's what I told it I wanted. Volume characteristics that show strong buying interest at these levels, resistance volume at these levels, declining sell volume overall, accumulation patterns are forming. Here's the key liquidation zones, or liquidity zones, excuse me. And then it has trade setups for me based on its confidence. It has a high confidence 85% for long entry at support structure. So it wants us to buy Bitcoin, that's what I have it trained on, at 97,800. The current price was 98,325. The current price right now, as I'm speaking, is 97,859. So this trade would have triggered right now to buy at 97 and 98. It wants you to scale in again at 97.5 and one final time at 97,200. So basically we're scaling in the position at 97,000 whatever, right? And it says it gives you a stop loss at 96,800. And then it tells you the targets. Sell 40% of your stack here, another 40% at this key level, and then another 20% at this level. And then it gives you a medium confidence setup, which is a short scalp at resistance. It tells you where the resistance and all that is. Low confidence setup, breakout long setup right here with those key levels. Risk management, and it tells you at the bottom. Current market considerations. Reduce volatility allows tighter stops. Volume profile supports key levels. Clear invalidation points established. Strong risk-reward ratios available, and quick profit taking still advised. Now, I've also fed it other data. Let me find it here, just so you can see how accurate it is. We're going back before, as the parabolic move was happening. For guys that are paying attention to Bitcoin's price, watch this. So on this one right here, it says parabolic movement warning. So this is when the price was climbing up above 100. It was at 98,671. So it hasn't even broken 100. Okay, we ended up getting a high of 104 and then crashing down to 90. Look at this. The vertical price movement indicates extreme buying pressure, likely driven by a combination of short squeezes and FOMO buying. Such parabolic moves typically end in a sharp reversal, requiring extreme caution with new position. And then risk warning here at the bottom in red. Parabolic moves of this magnitude typically end with violent reversals. The key to surviving such markets is strict risk management and avoiding the temptation to enter new positions at extreme levels. Consider taking profits on existing positions and waiting for clear consolidation patterns. Look at all the data. Guys, this was when the price was, it tells you right here, 98,671. It's scary how accurate this freaking thing is. And I feed Claude this information, I feed ChatGPT this information, I feed another AI this information. And then I take the averages of them all or see where there's some sort of convergence on all the data they're seeing, and then I'll verify it, and then I'll enter the trade. Yesterday we made $1,000, a little over, like 1,100. We're averaging close to 1,000 a day when we're trading. And this is how you can utilize AIs to help you in anything in life that you're trying to. If you want to design clothes, it can help you. If you want to make like logos and t-shirt designs and sell them in one of those like Shopify stores, you know, print on demand, you can do it. Want to know how to find clients? How to set up an advertisement campaign on Google AdSense? You can do it. It will walk you through step by step like you're a baby and you don't know anything. If you do not have a paid subscription for Claude or ChatGPT, you're fucking up big time. This is literally the greatest personal assistant you can ever have, and it only keeps getting better and smarter. I don't think people understand. There will be a two-tier system of people, of classes. There will be the ones that use these tools to enhance their productivity and effectiveness, and the bozos that are like how we look at boomers today, don't know how to write an email, that can't open an email. That's what you're going to be like in comparison to your peers that utilize these products. It could read entire books, it could summarize podcasts, it could give you the most important, pertinent information in any document right away. It can do anything you want it to do. Damn near everything already. I hope you guys enjoyed that portion of this video because it's just like a sliver of the potential. I'm already using them to make money. I have made a ton of money with these AIs, from the shirts to day trading to all the other shit. I've helped it make me video ideas, design titles, and shit like that. Write out scripts, help me with whatever, bro. Anything you want it to do. Guys, if you don't shell out I think it's $20 a month for one of these, you're out of your fucking mind, dude. It's probably the best $20 you could spend in the world today. Most toads, you know what they do when they use it? What's the meaning of life? Hey, ChatGPT, talk to me, I'm bored. Okay, bro, if you want to use them on such a fundamentally stupid level, like an animal, go right ahead. It's a tool. You'll get the most out of it if you use it properly. Like trying to hammer down a tree instead of, sawing it down. It's there. It's incredible. The tool works. Just utilize it properly. Anyways, a little bit of game for you guys on a Friday, something to digest over the weekend. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Hopefully you find some value in this one. If you haven't signed up to the second channel, dude, that's all self-improvement. That's all about men. See what we're talking about in the private community. Join if you haven't already. We'd love to have you. We have calls 5 times a week. Also, thank you to everybody that's been doing the private consults. It's been a blessing to speak with you. And we will see you on the next one. Take care, everyone.
Could a Cybertruck, like the one that you see right behind me, pay you $30,000 a year? I'll admit, it sounds like just another crazy idea from Elon Musk. But I'm about to get into this Cybertruck and drive up to a location just a few miles from here to show you how this is possible. Hi, I'm Jeff Brown, a former senior executive.
So guys, I think by now everyone has heard of the old Hawk2a scam, the crypto rug pull done by Haley Welch, America's sweetheart. She got famous for making a joke, the old Hawk2a spitting on that thing joke, because that's definitely something you want to be famous for as a young lady, making a joke about sloppy BJs. That's very, very endearing. I'm sure her family loves that she is now the Hawk2a sloppy BJ girl. But Hawk2a girl, the whole scam that she did with her Hawk coin, it blew up over the past week. I think it was on Wednesday. It was on Wednesday, I think, when it went live. And now over the weekend, it's picked up a bunch of steam. Everyone's talking about this. CoffeeZilla did a video on his secondary channel, Voidzilla. I think it's now his highest viewed video on that channel, talking about the scam that she did, Hawk2a coin. And he actually went on a Twitter space where you talk on the platform. He talked to the team on launch day on Wednesday night. He talked to Haley Welch, and he also talked to other people who were involved in launching the coin. Specifically, an individual he talked to was Doc Hollywood Art, who was one of the founders of the project. And that's the guy who actually said, well, really interesting, he said that people involved in crypto are mentally ill.
I think crypto brings the mentally ill into this thing, right? If you guys are in crypto, you're most likely mentally ill, and I'm gonna count myself as mentally ill for even being here right now.
So that's an interesting take right there. I don't know about calling people you want to invest in your coin mentally ill. It seems like a very counterproductive thing to do. Now, this Doc Hollywood guy, he's kind of gotten a bunch of backlash. He actually made his Instagram profile private at this point. Tons of people are calling him out, and I actually think this Doc Hollywood guy, because I know Haley Welch. I'm not trying to run some protection for Haley Welch. I don't want anyone leaving comments saying, Scott, you just want Haley Welch to hawk Tua on your thing. That's not what this is, guys. She definitely, what she did was wrong, but she was not the brains behind the operation. And I actually want to get into who actually was potentially running this project, because she did not come up with this on her own. Now, the Doc Hollywood guy, CoffeeZilla mentions him in his initial video as well, because he's obviously the guy that was talking mostly in the Twitter space. But I want to break down who this actual person is outside of just his Twitter handle, which is Doc Holiday Art. So this guy's actual name is Alexander Larson Schultz, but he's gone by many different names over the years, and he's actually tried many times over the past like 15 or so years to become famous. And I would actually classify him as kind of like an F-tier celebrity. He does have a lot of connections in Hollywood, and apparently, allegedly, this guy has been kind of the force behind a lot of these celebrity meme coins that have been launching in 2024. Because the Hawk Tua coin is just the latest, but there's been many of these. Many of these launched over the summer. All of them were rug pulls, and all of them were just kind of using these famous people's names to try and get people involved in, so a bunch of people buy in, and then the creators can just dump all their coins and make a bunch of money. This guy allegedly has all the connections in Hollywood, and apparently was involved in a lot of them. I don't know all of the coins that launched the celebrity meme coins, but a lot of them apparently. So like I said, his name is Alexander Larson Schultz, goes by Doc Hollywood Art on Twitter. He's also gone by Alex Larson or Lex Larson. Now, if we actually look into his past, he has his Instagram profile, which I mentioned, which is now private. And he is actually, initially, before he got into crypto, he's been in crypto for the past couple of years. Initially, he was a DJ / music producer. So he actually has a page on IMDb. IMDb, yeah, that's right. This is Alex Schultz, aka Lex Larson, is a DJ and music producer songwriter that was born in Los Angeles, California in 1987. His full name is Alexander Larson Schultz, and married his wife, Jacqueline Schultz, in 2013. Now, Jacqueline Schultz is his wife, who is the daughter of Howie Mandel, the comedian. So Lex has worked on many different music projects, including theme songs for television shows and movie soundtracks. So I looked into some of what he has done. I found a bunch of pictures of him on his old Facebook. He has a lot of connections with celebrities, but he has done a few different projects over the years. Probably the most successful, at least in my opinion, was he, I believe, co-wrote a song with a rapper called Ya Boy, and it's titled Doc Hollywood, We Run LA. Obviously, I can't really play it, or I'll get copyright claimed. This song came out, I think, like in 2010. I remember hearing this song quite a lot on the radio. If you don't know, I've lived in Orange County, California my whole life, which is not far from LA, and this song, obviously, since it's about the area, was played on the radio a lot. Now, I don't know how much this song got play outside of California, because I don't think it was a super popular song, but here in California, I very much remember this song playing on the radio a lot. Now, after that particular song, he actually launched, he joined a music group with two other individuals called the Americanos, which launched some of their own songs as well. So it says, the Americanos are an American electronic dance music DJ trio based in Los Angeles, consisting of DJ Felly Fell, Lex Larson, that's the individual in question, and Louis Rubio. So it talks about how in 2015, they released their debut single Blackout, which featured Little John, Juicy J, and Tyga. So I guess that song was fairly popular as well. And then in 2016, they released the single In My Foreign, which was apparently featured in the movie XXX Return of Xander Cage. So they've had a couple songs that did pretty well.
Whether you use it as a reference guide, a tool for making a check or wish list to grow your dream collection, or a way to learn.
His individual act, or the Americanos, as far as I can tell, never became super popular, but it probably made him a decent amount of money, and obviously he has a bunch of connections in Hollywood from people he's met in the music industry, and now that he's married to Howie Mandel's daughter, obviously he has a lot of connections there as well. You can actually see his Facebook profile. Again, I'll put up a bunch of pictures, but he has tons of connections to a lot of celebrities as well. So it makes sense that he would be involved in a lot of these celebrity meme koi projects that have been launching in 2024. Now, what's interesting is that after his kind of music career didn't really go the direction that he wanted it to, he kind of got into cryptocurrency in the early 2020s, and apparently he's been launching several products. So from this post on Twitter from Contra AI, he talks about how Rug Pull 1 was a project, an NFT project he did called Bitcoin Buds. It talks about one of Larson's earliest crypto projects, Bitcoin Buds, positioned itself as a fusion of cannabis culture and NFTs. The project promised community rewards and long-term value, but instead funds vanished and investors were left with valueless tokens, accusations of insider trading, and liquidity draining Market Larson's first alleged rug pull. So that's very much in line with what happened to the Hawk2A coin, claiming it was a rug pull and all the insiders were the only ones that made money. Now, if we look this up, we can actually find Bitcoin Buds. They still have a Twitter page, and it's still up, and you can see that they tagged, let's see if I find it right here. They tagged Doc Hollywood Art, the guy in question, in many of their posts. So this guy was definitely connected to Bitcoin Buds. Now, I don't know, I can't confirm 100% that he run Bitcoin Buds, but he was definitely part of it from how many times they're tagging him. Getting the artwork for the dispensary ready for opening, they tagged Doc Hollywood Art, Best Buds BTC, and Super Herb 907. So this guy was involved in a bunch of cryptocurrency projects before the Haley Welch Hawk2A coin, and I think this guy, in my opinion, is really the guy that was running a lot of this. So what's interesting is this X space that I want to bring up right here. I was actually listening to this on Wednesday night. So on Wednesday, the Hawk2A coin, they had their official X space where they were all talking about it. CoffeeZilla joined that. They didn't really let him talk all that much. And then initially, after that ended, CoffeeZilla started his own X space where he was talking to other people about it. And I found this really interesting. This individual who claims to be in crypto, and he talks about how he used to work with Doc Holliday, and he calls Doc Holliday a massive scammer who has done many of these projects in the past. So let's take a listen to that.
I probably got time for one more person. Who do we need to get up here? Let's get up somebody. Dude, there's like no good way to sort through my requests. This is so trash. Okay, well, we're gonna gamble. Here we go. Tell me we have something good here, Andy. Give me something good.
Hey, how's it going? My name's Andy. Thanks for having me up here. Sorry to blow you up in the comments. I'm predominantly known on Solana for derugging cyber frogs, and I worked with Doc in the past. And what I just saw up there was a fucking textbook, play-by-play, dumb fucking Doc-oriented move. Like, from start to finish, man, like, it's hard to even know where to begin. From the day-to-day interactions that I had with him, all along how he was constantly motivated by money, driving that whole meta on pre-sales, private pre-sales, lining the pockets of the people that invested in companies, setting up these shell companies. And what I just saw was him finding this poor girl, sticking his fucking claws in her, and absolutely dragging her into the fucking dirt. And whatever poor bastard it was behind that, development company, the dude's career ended right before it started, because Doc is really good at motivating people to try and rally around an idea. And he's really...
Hey, hang on. So you've worked with Doc before, is what you're telling me?
I have, yeah, man. I was a struggling NFT project that was a derug myself, and we needed...
Wait. Tell us about... Who is this guy? I've never heard of this guy before.
Yeah, all right. Fucking, where do I start, man? So he's really well known for 2 rugs from NFTs on Solana. Best Buds, and then he's got Meta Hunters as well. It's always the same shit that you just heard him fucking speak out about, man. I've got this idea. We're going to build a sustainable business. We're going to do all of this really cool shit. Blah, 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 blah. We're bringing in real names. What happens is that he does it. He rug pulls it. He fucking finds a way to extract as much liquidity and value out of it. And he's already done it twice on Solana with NFTs. And he's done it on multiple fucking meme coins with multiple different tokens. I was really unsuspecting at the time. I'm not a dipshit. And I have a great fucking reputation in Solana. And I think a lot of people will speak to that. I distanced myself from him after we started working on a project with him called Allbot. It was a Telegram trading bot before anything really came to Solana. It was throughout that experience that the only motivation that he had was doing a fucking token pre-sale for maximum fucking extracted value and trying to find a way to use bots to leverage his fucking entry and line his fucking pockets. I do not put my reputation on the line for that shit, and we took a step back hard and fucking fast, man. And it's the same playbook.
Wait, so what you're telling us is this guy, from your experience, likes to do token pre-sales and likes to use bots, you said?
Oh, dude, yes. He is not a dev, and he has no idea what he's talking about when it comes to dev speak. He has dumbass ideas that he then goes and tries to get other people to implement in a way that he has no oversight on. So if he brings in quote-unquote some sniper bots that are trustworthy, it's likely some dipshit who's been coding it on a ChatGPT bot that he's fucking found that can actually turn on. You know, and so like the extent of this is, in my opinion, a lot of it just being an actual dumbass. And I think being an overconfident dumbass that has no idea what he's fucking talking about and leveraging his reputation and his.
But who made the money, Andy? Okay, I got to get to the bottom of this. You're telling me, okay, I don't like this guy. This guy, you know, likes this, likes that. But did he make the money? Who's the guy really behind this?
Fair. What I can tell you is that we're going to go and start sleuthing the blockchain ourselves, and I will give you some definitive information. But if it's my guess, this was orchestrated by Doc. The money went into his pockets, and the money went into the pockets supporting Doc on this project. And
well, you're not gonna you can't find it on chain unless they've DNA'd on their wallet. You can find what wallets made the money. I've already found a lot of those wallets that made the money. That's what I was trying to talk to them about.
Yeah.
But they were denying answering the questions. I mean, they were just saying, "Oh, we had the foundation. We can't tell you where the money goes. You know, all this kind of stuff." So, you know, it's nice because we can see what's on chain, but we don't know who it belongs to. All right. Last question. Do you think people are going to go straight to a jail? That's, I guess, the space. So what do you think?
I think that Doc Hollywood is doxxed and that he's about to get a fat fucking lawsuit shoved down his throat, man.
Interesting.
Thanks for having
All
me
right,
up, bro.
no comment.
So there you go, guys. That's the Twitter space where that guy who alleges that he used to work with Doc Hollywood, that's the guy. That's the guy, in my opinion, who I think is the actual mastermind behind this project and apparently many other projects as well. Now, a lot of people have been saying Haley Welch is going to go to prison for this. I don't know that that's necessarily true. It doesn't appear that many of these other celebrity crypto rug pulls that happened earlier this year, doesn't seem that anyone really got in trouble for that. I know in the past, I believe Kim Kardashian was fined for promoting a cryptocurrency, and I think that may happen. She may get fined. As far as Haley Welch going to prison, that's probably not going to happen, guys. Unfortunately, that's the case. I wish it weren't true. I wish people would actually get in trouble for doing these rug pulls, but I don't think it's going to happen. And I do think if someone actually gets in trouble and potentially goes to prison, it's probably going to be someone who was actually in charge of it, not just the spokesperson, which was Haley Welch. So I think Doc Hollywood, if everything that is being said about him is true, I think he's the one that could potentially get in a lot more trouble than Haley Welch, Hawk Tuah girl, actually would. But let me know in the comments below, what do you think about the Hawk Tuah coin? What do you think about Haley Welch? And what do you think about Doc Hollywood art? Do you think he was the guy that was running this, the whole mastermind behind this? Let me know in the comments below.
2024 was iconic. Oh, hey, man, in finance. And it all started with a little TikTok. You helped launch new authors and even got us back into bookstores. Because one little TikTok can spark a really big impact.
Yo, what is going on, guys? Got an absolutely ridiculous video for you here today where we're going to be covering a series of clips. But the first one of those clips is a woman who is homeless, apparently, going around and basically trying to shack up with random dudes so that she has somewhere to live. Now, this is probably done for views. I don't really know, but it is completely damn stupid. Let's jump right in. As always, guys, don't forget to leave your thoughts and your comments.
Day 9-ish of being homeless. I just left one of my boyfriend's places. He said I can't stay again tonight because he has shit to do, whatever that means. It's just kind of drying up for me. Everyone's like pissing me off. They're being rude about the fact that I'm homeless. So I'm gonna go to Burley, go for a hot girl walk. I've done my makeup just to walk, and I'm gonna go ask every hot guy for their number and then see if I can find a place to sleep tonight. Otherwise, I'm sleeping in my car, which is fine. This is comfy as fuck. Not complaining at all.
Women live in a completely different reality.
I mean, of course they do, because dudes are willing to hand them free crap, right? And women are not going to turn this down. So you have this woman who is homeless. She's been homeless for 9 days. And by the way, apparently we as men, we're being a-holes, you know, for not letting her sleep in our houses. With, you know, how crazy is that, by the way? The level of entitlement you have to have in order to make a video like this. But of course it's vastly different. If you're a dude and you're in the same situation, people aren't going to give a damn. They're not going to give you a place to sleep simply because you need one, okay? I think that's reflected in the homeless people statistic. Obviously, the majority of them are men, but of course, we don't ever talk about that when we talk about equality, do we, guys? It's no, let's get women into CEO positions. But of course, those same people saying that nonsense don't really care that the male unaliving rates are higher. There's more homeless dudes, more dudes pass away in things like wars. We don't ever talk about those things, do we? But let's carry on.
Place to sleep tonight. Otherwise, I'm sleeping in my car, which is fine. This is comfy as fuck. Not complaining at all.
Women live in a completely different reality to men. Seriously, in your darkest hours, you have probably done the thought experiment of wondering how you would survive if you were homeless. Did you ever think to yourself, oh, it's fine, I'll just stay at one of my numerous girlfriends' houses, problem solved? Yeah, turns out for men, the solution isn't that easy. This reminds me of that meme, 1 in 4 homeless people are women. That's a weird way of saying 75% of homeless people are men. The truth is that your status as a homeless woman is much higher than that of a homeless man.
Yeah, and so the reason for this is nobody cares if the woman doesn't have a job. The woman's status is not tied to, well, how much money does she make and what position does she hold and how useful is she typically, like in a societal context, right? A dude is not going to turn down a woman because she works at McDonald's, for example. If she's a great woman, she's super kind, she's pleasant to be around, you know, maybe she knows how to cook really well and things like this, the dude is not going to care where the hell she works or what she does. But if you're a dude and you're like in your 30s and you're working at McDonald's or something like this, obviously women, for the most part, are not going to look your way, unless you're a Giga Chad. But even then, you know, long-term relationships might be a bit of a struggle because women will need to go out there and secure some simp to pay the bills, right? If you can't do that, then, you know, long-term relationship, maybe you'll get kicked to the curb. I mean, they'll still probably hook up with you, but they need a simp to pay the bills, is my point. But yeah, women's social status is not linked to what position they hold or how much money they have or whether, hell, even whether or not they have a place to live for the most part. I think that's the reason why.
The truth is that your status as a homeless woman is much higher than that of a homeless man. And that's not just because the culture at large values female life so much higher than it does male life. It's
I mean, it does, but...
because female suffering is seen as a societal problem to fix. But male suffering, well, that's up to the individual. He needs to fix it himself. There is no equivalence between a broke woman and a broke man. If you're like this woman, it doesn't matter if you're broke and homeless. You can still confidently approach hot guys and find somewhere to sleep that night. But
and just by the way, this is what really off-puts, I think, a lot of dudes when they're being approached by women, is... usually it's for some, if the woman is doing that, she's usually in some very bad position, right? She's usually trying to do something. Is she recording me? Is she trying to steal from me? What is it that this woman is doing, and why is she approaching me in the first place? I think a lot of dudes will have this line of thinking, even if they're attractive a lot of the time, because it's like, there's obviously some agenda here. Now, I'm not saying there isn't an agenda when men approach women. Obviously there is, but let's not pretend like there isn't one going the other way around as well.
But if you're a broke and homeless man, you're out of options. Women are not going to come to your rescue. Sadly, the attitude from so many of these modern women is that if you're not spending money on them, then they see no value in you. Observe this fight that broke out when a boyfriend refused to pick up a $4,600 restaurant check. His girlfriend invited 18 of her friends and she never told him that she expected him to pay.
Like, you really just should have paid for all of our food.
For one, I'm not paying for everybody's food. It's your birthday, cool, but I'm not doing that. It's 18.
Why do T gotta pay for all y'all food though?
You brought 18 friends. I'm finna leave you. You staying here with them or you coming with me?
Nobody wants a broke man. She's telling the truth. So
Yeah, so let's go back to this for a second, right? Look at the girlfriends like backing her up, by the way. I don't know if you saw, but the woman directly behind her in this part here, you know, she was like, ooh, you know, pulling the facial expressions, and there was some slight boos, I believe, in the background because the dude didn't want to pay how much was this? $4,600 to pay for 16 or 18 of her friends that she invited to this particular event. Like, what in the hell is this? And of course, the dude is in the wrong position, apparently, because he didn't pay. This is so damn ridiculous, guys. You know, dude's being required, apparently, to just... He probably doesn't even know all of these people. This dude probably doesn't even remember the names of 18 individuals, let alone this woman's quote-unquote friends. But apparently, he's the bad guy. I mean, it's so stupid, guys. I'll agree with Alexander here, man. A lot of people, if you're a dude and you don't have something going for you, nobody cares. You know, nobody's going to be picking up your phone calls, or at least nearly not as easily. Maybe you know a couple of friends, a couple of mates for like many years, and they might answer your phone calls. But what I'm trying to say here is nobody really cares about your struggles or the things that you're going through. You're going to have to handle them by yourself. You're not some woman, and you can't just rely on sleeping at some random dude's house, or some random woman's house for that matter, just because you don't have money. People are going to look at you like you're crazy. You know, you try and walk up to women and ask to spend the night at their house. I mean, you are going to have the cops called on you pretty damn quickly, I would assume.
18 friends. I'm finna leave you. You staying here with them or you coming with me?
Nobody wants a broke man. She's telling the truth. So many of these women judge the value of a man by the size of his wallet. But do you want to know the real difference between men and women when it comes to money? If a man suddenly becomes wealthy, he thinks, this is amazing. Now I can provide for my wife so that she doesn't need to work. If a woman suddenly becomes wealthy, she thinks, this is amazing. Now I don't need a man. If you give money to a man, his impulse is to share it, to support his wife, to provide for her. If you give money to a woman, her impulse is selfish, to keep it to herself. That's a big claim, Alexander. You better have some hard data to back that up. Oh, I'm so glad you asked. Last year in Sweden, they did a study called Fortunate Families, the Effects of Wealth on Marriage and Fertility. They were studying what effects winning the lottery had on people's relationships for men and for women, and the results are fascinating. Actually, first, let's talk about what happens to men if they win the lottery. In the subsample of male winners, all point estimates suggest that windfalls stabilize marriages. A 1 million Swedish krona windfall reduces the probability of divorce by 6 percentage points, equivalent to a 40% reduction in relative risk.
Yeah, of course, because when the dude gets all the money, she thinks to herself, especially if she hasn't reached like a certain time period where she thinks that she can walk away with that particular money, or she doesn't think that she can get it out of him through the courts, she's going to want to stay because she's going to want to benefit from that money as well.
And gets a bunch of money and it stabilizes the marriage. It reduces the likelihood of divorce. In the female subsample, the pattern is strikingly different. Married women who win the lottery are more likely to get divorced in the short run. Our estimate suggests a 1 million Swedish krona windfall effectively doubles the short run risk of divorce. You can see that getting money gives men and women the opposite impulse. Men move towards providing, women move towards hoarding.
Yeah, and let's be honest, the majority of these divorces are again initiated by the women. It's not the dudes who are going, hey, I just saw that she won a bunch of money, it's time for me to leave her, you know, because I think I can get this money through the courts. Let's be real about it, guys. Men have a very difficult time through the divorce courts. Usually the dudes are the ones getting completely screwed over. So what's happening here is the women they're getting the money and then they're bouncing. They're like, well, you know, I don't need this dude anymore. So I'm just going to leave the situation. I'm going to leave the marriage, and I'm just going to peace out with my bag, as it were.
Let's look at the graphs. Okay, let's look at this one first. Marriage formation. Look how different the genders are. When a man becomes wealthy, his desire to get married and provide shoots up. His marriage is stabilized. But when a woman becomes wealthy, she bails. This also has an effect on fertility. When a man becomes wealthy, there's a huge increase. They want to have children. They want to use that money to create offspring. Whereas for women, it basically makes no difference. Now let's look at a different study. This one is on the impact that getting a promotion at work has on your marriage, and the results are the same. For men, when they get a promotion, when they become more wealthy, you can see that they are more likely to remain married. But for a woman, her getting a promotion means that she is more likely to seek divorce.
How does Alaska's land help fund community services for Alaskans with behavioral health conditions and developmental disabilities?
And you know what, guys? I would 100% believe that, to be honest with you. I've seen this many times where like a dude will work in a field, or he'll work in a particular job, and then he loses that job, and then for some unbeknownst, unrelated reason, guys, that is left up to the cosmos, the woman just leaves. It's not him, it's her. And they just weren't connecting on that deeper level, or they were drifting apart, or some garbage like that. I don't know. I haven't rehearsed the script, as it were. But for whatever reason, she just happens to bounce. Okay, I've also heard a lot of stories of dudes not necessarily losing their jobs, but getting injured on those particular jobs, and so they have to be out of work for X period of time. I've heard dudes like break limbs and so on. And then, it's like, oh, well, she could provide, but she doesn't really want to. And so she bounces again. Okay? Like, let's be real about this, guys. Women are not out here providing for dudes, especially on a long-term basis. Now, you might have women who are, like, hitting their 30s, and they're like, damn, I really got to have kids, so I've got all this money. Why don't I try and get some guy to quickly rush out some kids with? Then she'll provide for that guy on a short-term basis, but she'll probably end up leaving him anyway. And the other situation is where you have the women who are dating chads, right? They're dating the dudes who are really attractive. And so they'll pay for things on the short term. They'll take him out to lunch. They'll buy him the drinks at the bars and all of these sorts of things. But again, it's not going to happen on a long-term basis, particularly in things like marriages. Women just do not provide for guys on a long-term basis at all. They might do it here and there if they think that you're attractive, or if they need to have kids because their fertility is running out. But if you think you're going to get looked after in this capacity, it's not happening, man. It's simply not happening.
Men share their money, women hoard it. Now, isn't it interesting that men are constantly shamed and criticized? Like, men are so pathetic that they can't handle a woman who has her own money. They're threatened by her success. Their ego's so fragile. Why can't men handle being with a woman who makes more money than he does?
I mean, let's pause it right here. The truth of the matter is most dudes don't give a damn. It has nothing to do with feeling emasculated. It has nothing to do with feeling intimidated. Men do not give a damn how much money you earn. Now, men might care how you got that money. If you're like a spicy content creator online, of course dudes are not going to want to date you. But to be honest, that doesn't have anything to do with the money. It has to do with what kind of actions you're actually doing to get that money. I've heard this so many times, man. Oh, you're just insecure, or you can't handle a boss woman. It's like, why the hell do I want to date these women, guys? We don't want to date you because you're a pain in the ass. It has nothing to do with how much money you generate, and everything to do with the fact that you become incredibly unpleasant when you earn a lot of money. Yeah, hell, it doesn't even require a lot of money, by the way. It just requires more than whatever the dude's making, and then of course she'll make herself a complete headache and she won't respect the guy anymore. How many times, guys, have you seen on this channel, right? I will pull up a video and a woman will say, I don't want to settle. I bring a lot to the table. And they're like, yeah, I've got this nice career. I've got my businesses. And let's just assume that they're not completely lying and they are actually making some money. Men do not care. I don't know how many times I have to say this, guys. I mean, probably indefinitely. Let's be honest. The women oftentimes don't listen to this. But dudes are not looking at your wallet. They're really, really not.
I think that men, they just want to control women. They want to have all the money so that the woman is dependent upon them. These are bullshit, sexist lies that blame men to distract you from the real issue at play here, which is why are women so selfish with their money? Why are they so happy to take? Why do they feel so righteously entitled to a man's money, and yet if some good fortune happens to them and they suddenly become wealthy, there's no instinct from them to share?
You know what, guys? I've actually grown past the point of even giving a damn, to be honest. Like, if these women want to get on here and act super entitled to a man's money and they want to behave this certain way, at the end of the day, they're really just screwing themselves over because the men aren't going to want them anymore. As long as, here's the thing, guys, if I don't have to talk to these individuals, if I'm not forced to date them, I don't care. Show everybody your true colors. Go out there, make these videos, complain that men are not giving you money, say how you deserve money. I don't care. It just weeds you out because it makes you look ridiculous.
Truly is a disgusting aspect of female psychology, and sadly, it's widespread.
And he took me in, he put me into nursing school, he got my hair, nails, everything done. So he up here on this level, I'm down here on this level. You get where I'm going? He got me up here with him because he was making good money. But then he ended up losing his job 2 years ago. Lost his job, and now he broke. What did I do? Broke up with him and got on because I'm not finna take care of no grown man. I'm not doing.
And there it is. I think a lot of women are not really prepared to say this because they don't want to look bad on camera. But here it is, you know? I don't want to look after him. He's a grown man. But apparently dudes are supposed to look after you because, I don't know, you're a grown woman. Like, my goodness, man. I think Alexander Grace is really correct here, by the way, when he says, you know, you're going to be accused of things, right? If you're a dude and you leave a woman for whatever reason, you're going to be called like controlling, shaming language is going to be used against you, and so on and so forth, right? We've all seen this. But when women leave your ass, it's like, oh yeah, you go, queen. You know, he was dirt. You deserve better. Go out there and find a man who's better. But yeah, of course you left him. Of course, this is what, to be honest, this is what a lot of modern women do. They just leave you. It's not really about love. It's not really about caring for you. Gone are the days where you'll hear those stories from your grandparents and other people's grandparents where the woman got with him when they were like 18 and he was completely broke and he only got wealthy in his 30s. Maybe he never even became wealthy and she is still there by his side. Oftentimes gone are those days, guys, really. It's like if the man doesn't make X amount of money per year or per month or whatever it is, she just won't be there in the first place.
I mean, didn't feminism fight for equality? For men and women being treated equally? No, that was all lies. They just wanted privilege. So you know what? We need to stop shaming men for wanting to earn more than their partners, as though that's some defect in men. There is a defect here, but it's in women. When a man says, I want to make more money than my wife, it's because he has noticed that women are attracted to men who make more money than them.
I mean, not only that, he probably realizes that, hey, if he doesn't earn the money, the woman's just going to leave him anyway. You know, dudes are actively punished for being in this position. You're not doing enough, she'll just replace you with some dude on a dating application. You don't make enough money, you're not a real man. And so, you know, like, dudes just get thrown out over this stuff. Again, doesn't matter if you get injured and it's not your fault. Doesn't matter if the company gets rid of you because they're doing layoffs even though you're actually quite useful in the company. The excuse doesn't matter. The end result is, hey, dude's not making money, I'm gonna go find a different man.
It appeals to their hypergamy, and he knows that if he wants to retain the attraction of his wife, this is how it needs to be. He's also noticed that if a woman has more money than her husband, then the marriage is less stable. And why?
I would also argue, by the way, that these women are not attracted to you. The women who are with you because of your ability to provide, they're not with you because they're like physically attracted to you. Oftentimes what women do, especially if they've been with a whole bunch of guys, by the way, they've got, you know, they've been with like 10 different dudes and then they settle down to get married. Oftentimes what happens is they have that one dude who's providing for them, i.e. the husband, and then they'll go on to cheat with him, with the dude that she's actually attracted to. Because again, the women are not actually attracted to your wallet. You're essentially just an ATM where you are required to pay for things, and if you don't, then she bounces. But like, let's not get it twisted here. The women are not attracted to you. You know, they'll have a long-term relationship with you because they're getting all the benefits. They get all their crap paid. But I think that's different from actually being attracted to you. They're attracted to the money. They're not attracted to you, so to speak.
Why would he want an unstable marriage? She's more likely to seek divorce. She's also less likely to want children. Plus, there's this frighteningly common female attitude.
Our money is our money, but her money is her money, right? She's earning for herself.
Man, you have to understand all of the propaganda that you have been fed, how women are kind, compassionate, generous. It's in female nature to nurture and to take care of people. None of that applies to you.
And you know what? I strongly agree with that, guys. You know, you could make a case that women do the nurturing and this and that, but it's for the dudes that they're highly attracted to. You know, they'll bend over backwards to do all sorts of different things for the men that they're highly attracted to. But, you know, the husband, for example, wants to go golfing on the weekend and she has a problem with it. You see what I'm saying, guys? It's like all of the rules are completely broken for the men that they find attractive. All of the rules are created and enforced for the men that they don't find attractive. Right? It's ridiculous to me, guys. I've literally heard stories of really successful men and their wives just boss them around and treat them like crap, you know, and they know that the dude can't leave because he's going to lose a whole bunch of money and probably kids in the process if they have any, and they still have, you know, if the kids are still in the house. Like, the dude loses absolutely everything. Women don't stand to lose crap when they divorce a lot of the times. Now, some of them do lose it, and when they lose it, they post on social media, and it's very funny, and I don't empathize with it. But, you know, these successful guys, man, putting up with way too much nonsense. Absolutely.
He does not see it as her role to take care of men. Women are hypergamous, which means they only date men that they feel are superior to them. They feel like that is the natural order of things. Women like to feel like men are superior. That's why they can't bring themselves to date a man who makes less money than her, who's shorter than her, who's less intelligent. She wants to be the weaker one in the relationship. She wants her man to be stronger and more capable than she is.
And you know what? People will probably sit here. You'll have womanists who will call this, you know, they'll be like, oh, you don't like women. They'll probably say this to Alexander Grace, you know, oh, you don't like women. You're only saying this because you're an incel and all of these sorts of things. And he'll probably get insulted a lot. And then what do those same women do? They'll go out here and they'll do exactly what Alexander is saying. They'll go out there, they will chase the tall men. They will chase the men with a lot of money. They will chase the guys who are quite honestly more intelligent than them. They will do everything that Alexander describes in this video, but then they will turn around and insult him and call him names. That's the funniest part about this content, guys, is you can be 100% accurate and it can be totally reflected in reality of what happens, but people will still be like, yeah, you know what? You're an incel, you don't get laid. It's like, okay, man, okay. What on earth?
Idea of her paying for her man, providing for him, that fills her with disgust. It feels unnatural to her. Why, after winning the lottery or getting a promotion at work, are these women divorcing their husbands? It's because now that she has more money, the arrangement feels unnatural to her. And as stupid as it is, I would respect feminism if it had some consistency to it. Like if they said, women are equal to men, we're going to treat everyone equally, and then they actually stuck to that ideal. Men, you do 50% of the housework, 50% of the childcare, and I, the woman, will provide 50% of the paycheck. Like, I would think that that's moronic because it goes against biology. There's a much more sensible division of labor based on each gender's inherent strengths and weaknesses. But if you sincerely applied that equality, I would at least respect the integrity of it. But
you know what? I agree with Alexander here, but it's never going to happen. You know, like, the thing is, in order for womanists to do this, then they would have to give up the privileges that they have. But they're not going to do this. There is no consistency to this. It's not about equality. It's not about equal footing and making sure that things are fair. It's about making sure that women retain as much advantage as possible, and the men have to do absolutely everything. You know, pay all my bills, but also I bring nothing to the relationship. And if I have money, if I have the capability to pay the bills, and you're staying at home and actually doing things, then you know what? I'm out. I'm leaving. This isn't fair. Right? So if you were to take a woman and put her in the same situation as dudes, she just would leave, guys. It's like, wait a minute, I have to go out there and work really hard and make money, and then after that I have to spend it on somebody who's not myself because I care about them? Oh no, hell no, I'm leaving. I'm going to go find a man with money. They're not going to be consistent. And also, by the way, this is why non-heterosexual relationships, specifically women, typically fail is because if you have two women who are in relation, have you guys seen the divorce statistics for women who are with women? By the way, it's the worst of any what's it called? Any permutation of genders there are. Man and a woman, divorce rates are obviously pretty high. Man and a man is lower. Woman and woman, the absolute highest. It's because none of them want to provide for the other person, guys. Realistically, if you look at some of the stats behind that, it is very damn funny. It's like, wait, you mean to tell me that I have to maybe be the one paying the bills? Oh hell no, I'm leaving you, Sandy. And that's exactly what happens, guys. Now, not every single one is going to end in divorce and separation and things like this, but let me tell you, the statistics are a lot higher for women who are with women because neither of them want to do the man's traditional role.
Modern feminism is so foul and odious. It feels entitled to these disgraceful double standards that privilege women and take advantage of men. I have much more respect for women like this.
We women have to be honest with ourselves about a few things, which is, right now, women, if you make a certain amount of money, we do not date men that do not make the same amount of money or more than us. Women on average actually do not want to. And so we have this conundrum where if women are making more,
what a real conundrum, you know?
Men are making the same, and in some instances less, what happens to the dating pool? And so I think women, if we're going to make more money, we got to start saying, it doesn't really matter if our partner makes the same amount of money. I mean, Chris, my husband, was a Navy SEAL. Spoiler, the government doesn't pay well. So I made more than he did in the beginning, but his compass was never money. His compass was service and excellence. Your bank account has no ability to hurt a man one way or the other. But if you make him feel less than for the amount of money that he's making, even not on purpose, I'm sure she's lovely, then certainly you can. But I think that's where women get it wrong. We're like, he doesn't want to date me because I'm too rich. I have never in my life met a guy that goes, the thing is, she's got too much cash. Fuck that broad. Like, that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I've never heard a dude say that in my life either. Not only have I never thought that in my entire life, I don't know a single dude who has gone out there and said to himself, you know what, she's a great woman, but you know, she's just too successful. She makes too much money for me, so that's a real issue. I don't know any dude who's said that. I don't know any dude who's, you know, even remotely thought that. Being a man myself, I would assume not. It's completely ridiculous. Now, I will say this, guys. I think that these womanists should lie in the bed that they made, to be honest with you. And let's be real, none of them are going to do this. None of them are going to take on the provider positions, even if they earn all the money. They're simply not going to do it unless their biology absolutely demands. You know, if they have to get a kid out within the next couple of years or they're not going to be able to have some, then she might go, okay, let me just look after this guy for as short a period of time as I possibly can. I'll have the kids, and then I'll ditch his ass. But they're not going to do this. And by the way, I don't think they should, because I would rather these women just be completely weeded out, to be honest with you. I don't think any dude wants to date these girls who are just actively like this, these womanists and things like this. Just screw off, man. You know, you made your bed, now lie in it. But guys, I think we are going to be leaving today's episode there. As always, don't forget to leave your thoughts and your comments. Do you guys find this interesting? Do you find it funny? Do you find it sad? Let me know down below. As always, guys, make sure you take care of yourselves, and I'll be seeing you all in the next episode. Peace.
Once everything's perfectly organized, I'll start working on my thesis.
Grammarly will ensure you feel confident nailing your final thesis by supporting your writing journey from start to finish. Welcome to Ideation Station.
How do I write the perfect intro paragraph?
Grammarly can highlight precise tips
There's a phrase that I think you've all heard, never waste a crisis. Right now, GOG are doing that on a few levels. So in this video, right, we learned how the ESA, who basically represent the big AAA publishers in America, how they are legally crushing the preservation of video games, and also how 87% of all games produced before the year 2010 are no longer commercially available, which basically means we're entering a humongous preservation nightmare. Which of course is, well, a bit of a marketing angle, but it's also something that GOG do seem to care about given, well, where their name GOG comes from. They used to call themselves Good Old Games. Now, we all use Steam, and for GOG, that's another problem. DRM-free games that we can download and own forever on our own machine is great, but Steam is the default for everybody, so if you are GOG, how do you stand out? How do you get customers? What do you do? And that brings me to today. GOG have been making headlines with their new preservation program. It's been rolling out since their 16th anniversary earlier this year, and the TLDR for it is that they're re-releasing 100 games that have been staples of their store for a long-ass time, and each one of them basically has a build that is designed to work on modern machines flawlessly, because oh boy, if you're trying to run legacy games, you're going to need to do a lot of work in some cases. Now, the work that they've done to each one is also listed on their article, so it basically shows that their value is not just harvesting up storefront deals so that you can pay for a game. Now, this is all they say to preserve the games as they were originally presented, but of course in a state where everybody can run them. And look, that will actually save many consumers hours and hours and hours, which is good. That all sounds fantastic, but it turns out that Blizzard Entertainment have got rather different plans. Two of the games in the preservation collection are Warcraft Orcs and Humans and Warcraft 2. And they're there because in 2019, Blizzard games were added to GOG for DRM free sale, and the original Diablo was the first one that was put up. Now, the pitch, right, was the players could basically take advantage of the original game, but, in modern support network, it'll run on modern machines, and of course, you also would have the choice to forego all of that stuff and just fully launch the original game as it was if you want to, which all seemed great. So that relationship started with Diablo, then the Warcraft games came to the platform, and of course when the preservation program started, GOG even ran an article on the importance of those games specifically to the history of, well, video games. But then unfortunately for GOG, it all went a little bit wrong. So the very obvious problem for GOG is that these games don't belong to them. They belong to Blizzard Entertainment, and Blizzard just remastered both of them. The original editions are still available on Battle.net, and they're actually included in the Warcraft Remastered Battle Chest, and basically just in case the remaster isn't your thing. But of course soon they're not going to be on GOG whatsoever, which is a little bit awkward because they just said, hello everybody, here's our game preservation program. Warcraft 1 and Warcraft 2 rock, they'll be here forever. That was then immediately followed up by a, nope, never mind, they've been taken down. And I think it's fair to say that GOG aren't exactly pleased with this. They announced that these games will be leaving their store December 31st, and here is their phrasing. It's rather telling. At GOG, we believe that games should live forever. This means not only preserving them, but also making sure they remain accessible, updated, and enjoyable on modern systems. Everything the GOG preservation program is built to ensure. Yet despite our dedication and best efforts, there are times when not everything goes as we'd hoped. Basically, Blizzard saying, no, we want those back, stop selling them. So yeah, their beef and frustration is pretty damn apparent in that. Obviously, GOG do not have the power to avoid delisting these games, likely because they can't sell them if Blizzard literally won't send them the game keys. That's the way that this sort of thing will work in the back end. They're complying in a very cheeky way. They're making hay out of this for PR. So here's what they said next. Going forward, even if a game is no longer available for sale on GOG as part of the GOG preservation program, it will continue to be maintained and updated by us, ensuring it remains compatible with future and modern systems. Which is really funny because it means if you buy Warcraft 1 and 2, well, it's going to be delisted from their store, but they're just going to keep on making sure that that thing works, which realistically probably won't be any work, really, but they get to use this as a massive, almost bit of a fuck you to Blizzard, which, it's pretty strong marketing vibes. Now, of course, in theory, this is the same principle as when any game is delisted from a store. Steam and GOG, as an example, will still allow for any purchase to be downloaded in the long run, even if the game is no longer available for sale on their store. The thing that GOG are doing is basically saying that there will be a customer guarantee that in addition to you always being able to download the thing that is on your account, that they will also work to ensure that that file will run on all modern systems, which basically means that even if there is technological change, your purchase will still be honored and your DRM-free game will actually still work and exist, even though they stand to gain no direct money other than, of course, absolutely making hay in terms of marketing and retaining customers, because it seems like a good thing to do, and customer loyalty is important. Of course, I don't expect that to be a gargantuan amount of work. I really think we are past the times of massive technological changes to our computers that will render older games just inoperable, so I don't think this will cost GOG really much money at all, provided, of course, Microsoft don't catastrophically fiddle about with Windows. And surely they would never do something like that, right? Now, this stuff is not to say that GOG are being purely mercenary and weaponizing preservation to actually get some cut through so that somebody will please notice them. They're obviously a business, and we've got to be real. They're never going to take a bite out of Steam. That's the bigger point here. The best they can do is be unique and have an angle, and, well, hence this. This is their riposte to Blizzard. They have a promo code called Make Warcraft Live Forever. It'll give you another $2 off the Warcraft 1 and 2 bundle. Again, never let a crisis go to waste. It is free PR. I think this PR is going to be a lot more cost effective than the $2 that they will lose per purchase. As for how well it's working, on the top sellers of their site, you do see Warcraft 1 and 2 at the very top. Diablo 1 is taking second place, and rather unsurprisingly, a 75% discount to Stalker, Chernobyl, not Pripyat. That one has got it ranked 3, and in at rank 4, you got Heroes of Might and Magic 3 Complete, which is completely obvious that it should be there because it is one of the most absurdly loved evergreen games kind of ever. But as for GOG, well, here's the thing, this is uphill, and I've long been trying to work out how the fuck can these guys actually stay in business? How does any of this make sense? So back in 2019, a Blizzard VP said, quote, that they were bummed when these iconic games, that's the Warcraft and Diablo, weren't available for our players. So we're very happy to work with the crew at GOG.com to rectify that. That was in 2019. A few years will change their opinion. And that's a problem for GOG. They completely exist at the whim of their partners. And that Blizzard example is, in some ways, Blizzard using GOG as marketing in a way. Zero cost to Blizzard. GOG does the actual work to make the games run, so to them it's just a free marketing win. And then if you think about Blizzard's new owner, Microsoft, they really don't have a presence on GOG. If they did have a presence on GOG, maybe I would be able to acquire my copies of beloved childhood game Freelancer via commercial means, which would be very above board. But of course I can't. And
like a relentless weed, moderate to severe ulcerative colitis symptoms can keep coming back. Start to break away from UC with Tremfya, with rapid relief at 4 weeks. Tremfya blocks a key source of inflammation. At 1 year, many people experienced remission.
All of this means it's hard for GOG to be aggressive. They're at the whims of other companies, so here's their problem. Number 1, other companies own games, some won't play ball. Number 2, it's hard to get modern audiences to even give a shit. And then 3, a big topic, Steam. Getting users to switch from their default is a nightmare, even if you tell that user that the copy of, say, Cyberpunk 2077, Frostpunk, or Baldur's Gate 2 that you will get on GOG is fully yours, DRM-free, forever. Because that's literally a better product with more value, right? It's not going to be taken away from you. It's impossible for it to be taken away from you. People don't value that enough to pay the same price to get the better product on another store because everything is done in Steam. As Gabe said, piracy is a service problem. Well, it turns out when your service is amazing, it just means people will use you instead of others. And GOG tried to fix that with Galaxy 2.0, which is their optional launcher. The whole point is it's supposed to hook up to all the other game launchers so that in theory, your entire library of games can be there on GOG Galaxy 2. But you're still going to have to buy the games on Steam. And other platforms don't make the integrations play nice, which means that Galaxy can really never be as good as, say, a native experience. A little bit like whenever you boot up your favorite Ubisoft game, which I'm sure you do, from Steam, and then you get the Ubisoft launcher middleman thing. And then there's price. Emails presented as evidence in the Wolfire Games case suggest that no other storefront can undercut Steam for a game, or else that game could be removed from Steam, and the leaked emails in that case, those say that it's not Steam keys, it's games, right? So GOG can't compete on price. Even if they were able to lure developers over with a lower than 30% cut, that saving could not be passed on to customers, which basically means the competitive advantage is gone. Now, funny enough, if you're an Amazon Prime user, you've probably been utterly barraged with GOG keys, which is fairly nice. But big picture, one thing's becoming quite clear. They need a cultural win and niche audiences. Most of the time that I hear about GOG, it is a Seth video or a Mandalore Gaming video, because those guys very routinely work with GOG so that they're timing promotions basically with their videos. And that means that, well, people have got a reason to check out GOG. But even without that, GOG does have one thing, and I think it's a lesson in business, and really anything. You always want to think, what is my unfair advantage? And I don't mean that in a skullduggery way. What is the sort of thing, right, that you would beat me at every single day because you're just damn good at it, you have a natural advantage in it, or whatever it may be? Think about that, because that's probably where you're going to get wins. In this case, for GOG, well, they exist under CD Projekt Red. So even when things struggle, they can exist to let CD Projekt Red skip out on the Steam fee. And that's a bit of a point in business. You often need an unfair advantage. GOG has that, and they have a cultural wedge. But other than that, it's damn hard to get people to switch off Steam. And so I toss it to you. Whenever I read comments in our videos, it seems really obvious that people like the idea of ownership, right? Especially since all the headlines over the last few months. So in a world where people really want ownership of their games, what stops you from going to somewhere that isn't Steam, especially if it's a full DRM-free thing? And I mean that pretty genuinely. It's an interesting problem. What would change your behavior? And with that said, well, for some more delicious gaming news, hit this one up next.